gang, and most of it is complete bullshit. Fake news spouted at dinner parties by self-righteous know-it-alls from the suburbs who have no clue about our culture or the way we choose to live our lives. We don't even use the term gang anyway. We belong to a club, and a very exclusive one at that. Gang or club, I guess it's all the same. Whatever you choose to call it, when you sign up, you accept the fact you could end up dead or with a bullet in your flesh if you're lucky, fighting to defend it. Honor is a big thing when you belong. It's probably the biggest. I never made a conscious decision to join. Sometimes shit just happens, and it sure as hell happened to me. It seemed a natural transition from my life on the street after I ran away from the evil woman who ran the foster home, and in a strange way, it gave me direction and a reason to live again.
What do you think you're doing, kid?
It all began with that one question on the day I pickpocketed the wrong guy on an LA street, Jacob Atwood. But I'd recently received the worst news possible, and the way I felt about myself back then, I didn't care if he killed me. At least my miserable existence would finally be over. A broken home, beatings from an alcoholic father, drugs, and street crime were all I'd known for the longest time before I was taken into care. Looking back now, I was on a self-destructive streak, and even since then I've never really learned how not to be. But Jake didn't kill me that day. In fact, whether he knew it or not at the time, he saved me. He gave me a new life, one I didn't exactly choose, but I have no regrets. We are the Bad Breed MC, and no name was ever more appropriate. There's not one of us who isn't bad to the bone. Chapter 1. Flynn. Jake rides in front of us now. We'd follow him right into the flames of hell, and sometimes it feels like that. This was one of those times as we ride toward the City of Angels. I still struggle to understand how everything went so wrong back there in what was our town, Hardale. It was a freaky chain of events, a snowball that rolled down the mountainside, turned into an avalanche, and almost buried us all. Everyone's feeling defeated and dejected as we follow Jake along the coastal California highway, and most of us silently disagree with our club president's plan.
We're just gonna lay low for a while. Regroup. Heal.
That's what Jake had said. He hadn't even put it up for discussion. He just went ahead and gave the order, and I knew why he was doing it. After the fight with the Cobras, he doesn't want to risk losing any more men. He wants to give us all a chance to lick our wounds, nurse our shattered pride, and start thinking clearly again before we go in for payback. And you can bet we will. It was supposed to have been a simple affair. To meet with Ricky Johnston and his most trusted, to tell the Cobras to shove their offer of going in together on meth trafficking where the sun doesn't shine. We didn't want that shit in our town. All we wanted to do was make it clear that the transportation network they'd chosen for their new cargo would have to go through some other place instead. We weren't the fucking cartel, but they should just get the hell out of Hardale if that's what they had planned. But the Cobras weren't willing to take no for an answer. As it turned out, they were the cartel, and we got ambushed. I guess we should have known better. We're not invincible, no matter how much we like to think we are, and we'd already been doing business with the Cobras for a long time. While rule number 1 is to always expect a betrayal, we just didn't see that one coming. In the end, we lost 5 good men. And our town. Sure, we could have stuck it out. We could have stayed and fought to the very last man, but what would have been the point of that? I didn't like putting Hardale in the rearview mirrors of my bike any more than the others did, but I understood Jake's intention. We did need to regroup. We did need to heal. And then we'd get our town back. The one thing I really don't like about Jake's plan is his choice of Los Angeles as our temporary base. He said it's the best place since we'd blend in much easier than if we went to another town. Los Angeles is a violent city. I know that only too well from my childhood, and we'd just be another bunch of hot needles in a burning haystack. I can't say I agree, but I trust his judgment. Still, that doesn't mean I have to like it, and I tell him so when we stop at a gas station halfway there, our bikes thirsty, and us even more so. He tells the guys to have a beer at the rundown bar while we stay outside to have a smoke and a private conversation.
I know you don't like this,
Jake says, before I even have a chance to open my mouth. I turn to look at him. He flinches as he takes a drag from his cigarette, and I raise an eyebrow at him. Should you be smoking? You got a couple of bruised ribs and a bullet wound in your side.
The bullet just scraped me, he replies.
I know, but sucking on a cigarette probably isn't a good idea. He shoots me a look that tells me I should stop bugging him about it. Jake's the kind of guy who'd take a bullet for the people he cares about. He's done it for me before, and I for him. He'd taken this one the previous night when all hell had broken loose, and the youngest member of our club got gunned down. Jake had broken cover, grabbed the kid by his shoulders, and dragged him back out of the line of fire. A ricocheting bullet had grazed his left side. Despite Jake's bravery, it was too late to save young Matt, something for which the Cobras will undoubtedly pay for in time. He was already dead by the time Jake dragged him behind the crates we were using as cover. When the firefight was over, I had to bite my tongue to stop myself from bawling him out for risking his life to bring back the body of a dead man. I don't know why, but I always seem to be overprotective when it comes to Jake. He's 5 years older than me, and, ironically, he originally founded the club to keep the kids in his neighborhood off the streets and to respond to the violence that plagued his town at the time. He succeeded, but you don't run violence out of town without becoming violent yourself. Somewhere along the way, the lines between right and wrong had gotten blurry, but he's still the best man I know. Jake is my best friend, and my brother. Seeing him reappear behind those crates covered in blood had really freaked me out.
So,
he says, his rough voice bringing me out of my reverie for him.
Aren't you gonna say anything?
I take a deep drag from my cigarette and feign indifference.
About what?
He smirks and pushes his long hair back with one hand.
You're hating this, Flynn. I know you are.
I hold back a grimace and pause. I'm not thrilled, I admit, but I'm not going to question you.
You think I'm making a mistake?
He asks. There's a hint of steel in his blue eyes that tells me he won't be happy with me if I say yes, but that's never stopped me from voicing my doubts before. I'll never try to second-guess Jake in front of the others, though. A president and vice president should always be on the same page in front of the guys, or respect goes out the window. No, I reply, and that much is true. We do need time to recuperate. If we'd stayed in Hardale, they would have finished the job and slaughtered us. We're hurt bad, lost a lot of good men, and we're so outnumbered now.
Then what's the problem?
He asks, narrowing his eyes at me. I can tell he senses there's something about his idea that I'm not totally on board with. I need to pull my shit together, and fast. If Jake senses it, then no doubt the rest of the club can too, and that would be bad news. I shrug, taking one final drag, then let the cigarette fall to the ground, stomping on it with the heel of my boot. There's no problem, men, I say, with as much confidence as I can muster.
Flynn.
I freeze. His voice is hard and commanding, and when I look at him, I'm met with an unwavering stare. It's clear my president expects a straight answer to his question. Fine, I sigh, frustrated with myself for being so transparent, for being so fucking weak that my bad memory still got to me after almost 2 decades. It's not the plan, Jake. It's the place. He blinked.
L.A.?
Yeah. I just wish it was somewhere else. Anywhere else, I say. We can't run to some small town. You know that. News travels fast in those places. We'd be found in no time. Yeah, I do know that. But Los Angeles isn't the only city in California where we can hole up for a while.
Maybe so, but it's the closest one to Hardale.
Sure, we could ride down to San Diego, but we need to stay around our patch. It is the logical choice, and I know it makes perfect sense, but right now, memories of when I was 16 come flooding back. Memories of that bitch from hell who ran the foster home, or me sporting the bruises from another of my father's beatings, and I physically shiver. Jake stares at me, trying to read my thoughts.
I know you had it hard there,
he says, trying to reassure me.
But that was a long time ago, Flynn. You're grown now. You really should forget about it.
That doesn't make it any easier, I think to myself. But I don't voice it. I can't show Jake any weakness. Yeah, I know. I'm just being stupid and sensitive. Forget I said anything. Jake frowns. He isn't fooled, but thankfully he doesn't press the matter further.
Good. Now let's get out of here,
he says, reaching out and slapping my back in a show of support. I nod, and 10 minutes later, we're all back on the road again. There's something about trauma. Time really doesn't heal anything. No matter how much I've tried to distance myself from it and push it to the back of my mind, nearly 20 years later, it pains me to admit it still haunts me. Me, a badass biker, and I hate that it still has a hold on me. Riding with your brothers should bring freedom. We should feel like we have the world in our hands as we speed along the highway with the wind in our hair and the ocean in our nostrils. But none of us feels free right now. After last night's mayhem, we all feel crushed. As for me, I feel like I can't breathe. With each mile that brings us closer to my hometown, I feel like the air is being sucked out of my lungs, and my chest constricted by some huge snake wrapping tight coils around my body. I try to cling to Jake's words. That was a long time ago. I'm not that kid anymore, and I've done and seen things that would keep most men awake at night. I have no business getting so freaked out over this. Hell, last night alone I saw more bloodshed than my dad had ever caused me. Still, when we finally pass the city limits of Los Angeles, my stomach cramps up, and, for a moment, I worry I'll have to stop and pull myself together. Instead, I clench my fists tighter around the handlebars and feel myself grounded by my bike and my brothers who ride with me. I feel anything but grounded in the neighborhood Jake's picked out for us, though. It's nice enough, but not that nice for anyone to freak out when a bunch of bikers suddenly rent a 2-story house in their midst. Sure, the locals are a bit suspicious, but no one's had any reason, or the balls to call the cops on us. So far, at least. I'm thankful it's nowhere near where I grew up, or that god-awful foster home, but it's still Los Angeles, and it makes me jumpy. The others are on edge, too, and I don't blame them. Now more than ever, the club needs me and Jake to be firm, strong, and have our wits about us. I'm keeping my anxiety a secret from everyone, burying it deep, but I'm getting a little stir-crazy at spending most of the time in our new home. For the past few days, I've taken a walk outside, looking for somewhere where I can just sit and think, away from the guys. I may have grown up in this city, but Harddale has turned me into a small-town guy. I need to find some peace and quiet, away from the madness we've all been through. For the third morning in a row, I walk past the Full Moon Diner, 1 block away from the house. There's a bike parked outside, a Triumph Street Scrambler. Sturdy enough, but nothing like the beast that is my Thunderbird Commander. The Scrambler is jet black with dark orange and chrome detail. It's been parked outside the diner the previous 2 mornings, too. It looks stunning, and I stop to admire it again. I wonder who rides it, and if there are any other bikers in the area, but quickly dismiss that thought. Jake would have done his research. He wouldn't have brought us here into another MC's territory. I reach out to run my fingers along the handlebars, but stop myself. Golden rule. Never touch another man's cut, or his bike. Instead, I walk past the chromed beauty and enter the diner. The smell of fresh coffee hits me as soon as I step through the doorway, and I already feel better than I have in days.
Chapter 2. Joe. I glance nervously outside. No one's stolen my Triumph yet, but this was LA, and you can't be too paranoid. There's no space for it out the back here, and it makes me a little anxious, leaving it out there all on its lonesome. And now, one of those bikers who recently rode into town is staring longingly at it, and it makes me smile with pride. Having a real live biker admire my ride is like painting a picture and having Picasso compliment you on it. I'm satisfied my baby is safe, so I turn my attention back to the order I'm carrying. "One of those gangbangers is ogling your bike, sweetie." Mrs. Stevenson has the uncanny ability to look like a harmless little old lady, even while coming out with the bluntest crap. She's glaring daggers at the man through the window, but even if he's noticed her, he ignores her attention. "That's all right," I say, placing an order of eggs and bacon in front of her, and a plate stacked full of pancakes in front of Mr. Stevenson.
"Are you sure?"
Mr. Stevenson asks, staring at me through his thick, tortoise-rimmed glasses.
"Do you want me to go out there and give him a piece of my mind?"
I try to stifle my laugh and turn it into a smile as I look at Mr. Stevenson. These two have probably seen it all. They're fierce and fearless, and they both have that extra spunk that seems to come with old age, where you feel like the world can't touch you. But the picture of an enraged Mr. Stevenson waving his cane at the biker outside was almost too much to take. Nice of you to offer, but that won't be necessary, thank you. But what if he steals it, dear? Mrs. Stevenson asks. He's a biker, Mrs. Stevenson. I patiently explain. No one respects other people's bikes more than they do. Mrs. Stevenson narrows her dark eyes at me and asks, "And how would you know?" I grin back at her and say, "Oh, I just know." She rolls her eyes at me, refusing to engage any further. "Fine," she mumbles. "I guess we'll leave him alone then."
For now,
adds Mr. Stevenson. "Thank you," I say. "That's kind of you to think of me, though." I look across to Dahlia, my boss and longtime friend, and we smile at each other before she goes back to scribbling into a book at the counter. She knows exactly what this couple is like. Early morning shifts at the diner are my favorite. It's only 6:30 a.m., and our only customers are the lovely old couple who visit us at the same time every day. Apart from the Stevensons, it's just me, Dahlia, and Steve in the kitchen. It's my quiet time before the storm. Give it half an hour, and it'll be a whirlwind of table serving before I get to my university classes, and every moment of respite is precious beyond words. The bell above the door tinkles, briefly interrupting the indie rock playing in the background. I turn toward the door with a smile on my face, ready to greet another early morning customer, but I freeze in surprise when I see the biker standing in front of me. Now, I've grown up in the city, and I like to think I embrace the cosmopolitan vibe that is Los Angeles. I'm a 29-year-old woman who rides a motorcycle, practices Krav Maga, and works 2 jobs in between studying. I don't fit into any category. I'm open-minded, and not much surprises me. But even I can't help but stare at the man. I don't know what it is about him that makes me stop in my tracks. I'm more intrigued than wary. I know bikers recently moved into a house in the neighborhood. I've seen them ride by, but having one walk into the place where I work has caught me off guard, and I wonder why he's here. He smiles and says,
Good morning.
Then takes a seat at one of the booths, and I realize I'm being a little judgmental, despite the fact that he has a skull embroidered on the back of his cut, not to mention the words, "bad breed," on the rocker above his patch. Probably all he wants is a decent cup of coffee. The Stevensons both turn around in their seats to glare at him and make their feelings known, but they finally relent and turn back to their breakfast when Dahlia gives them a pointed look. She's the only one of us who didn't do a double-take the minute the biker came through the door. Dahlia's parents are ridiculously rich. They gifted her the business they'd built up and are currently touring Europe in a brightly colored Volkswagen camper van. Despite their wealth, they're so down-to-earth and retro. Their influence is all over the place, from the dream catchers and Tibetan wind chimes to the 20-something exotic plants scattered around. The full moon etched onto the glass front door proudly displays a peace sign at its center, and their laid-back attitude to life shines through in Dahlia herself. While we don't see eye to eye on everything, one thing I truly love about her is that she never judges anyone based on their appearance. So she didn't bat an eyelid when a biker strides into her diner, tattooed and wearing a leather vest. She gives me a look that clearly says, "Well, get to work." And I snap into action, grabbing a menu and walking back to the booth where he's sitting. He looks up and smiles at me, and once again, I catch myself staring. This time, however, not out of intrigue, but open admiration. He's a hellishly handsome man, probably early to mid-30s, and looks like he's just walked out of a Sons of Anarchy episode. Soft brown eyes, long reddish-blonde hair, high cheekbones, and a chiseled jaw that the medium-length beard does nothing to disguise. I can't see much of his body, but what I can see promises muscles and strength. I break my stare and smile back, doing my best not to drool. "What can I get you?" I ask. He doesn't even scan the menu, but I catch him checking out my name tag.
Do you make lattes here, Joe?
Of course, I reply.
Great. Can I get a vanilla latte, please?
I blink in disbelief, and my jaw drops slightly. Sure. He chuckles at my facial expression.
I bet you were expecting me to order the blackest of black coffees with no milk or sugar, right?
I kinda was, yes, I say, feeling awkward and embarrassed. That's just so unusual for a biker.
I'll take that as a compliment. I'm an unusual everything.
He says, with a wink. I feel myself getting turned on, and a warmth in my pussy. I'm not sure I'm liking the way he's making me feel since we just met, so I stand up a little straighter and tell myself to get a grip and stop acting like some horny little teenage girl. Anything to eat? I ask.
Bacon and eggs would be great, thanks.
He says. Scrambled?
Sure, sounds good.
I finish writing the order, and without thinking what I'm doing, I wink back at him and say, "You're not that unusual then," as I slip my order pad back into my pocket, then turn on my heels and head toward the kitchen. I hear him laughing as I walk away. It makes me smile, and damn him if he doesn't have the most infectious laugh. It sounds oddly familiar, too. I walk into the kitchen and give Steve the order. He immediately sets to work, but looks at me kind of funny while he whisks up the eggs. "What's with you?" I ask defensively.
You look a little flustered.
He says.
Is everything okay?
Oh, it's just one of those bikers that came in. But everything's fine, I say. Steve stiffens and stops his whisking. He's a 50-something man and a close friend of Dahlia's father. He's a big, sturdy guy with kind blue eyes and long, wavy blonde hair that's starting to turn gray, which he keeps tied in a ponytail. I know he has a past of some kind, but I don't know the details. Still, the unusual tattoo he sports on his left forearm has always made me wonder what. It looks neither pretty nor anything spiritual. He turns around slowly to face me and looks a little threatening, even though he's only holding a metal whisk in one of his huge hands.
Is he bothering you?
He asks in a concerned voice. Oh, no, I reply, hurrying to reassure him. It's all good.
Well, you don't look like it's all good,
he says, probing for more information. I bite my lip in embarrassment. I'll have to come clean, otherwise I know he'll go out there and cause a scene. That's the last thing I want. It's just, well, he's very handsome, I say, embarrassed again.
Oh, I see.
I thought he'd be relieved that's all it was, but instead, he narrows his eyes at me and says,
Be careful, Joe. You really don't want to get into that.
No, I don't, I say emphatically. But I'm not blind either, you know? I'm just saying, he's hot. A girl can look, right?
And I'm just saying, steer clear.
Then he turns back to the stove and starts cooking the mystery man's breakfast. I sigh. Steve has a fatherly streak that runs a mile wide. Mostly it's endearing, but sometimes it's too much, and it gets on my nerves. I wait silently in the kitchen until the biker's order is ready, then carry it over to his booth with his coffee. I still can't get over the fact that this badass biker is sipping a vanilla latte in a hippie diner. It's surreal. I set the plate in front of him, this time without making a complete fool of myself, when he smiles his thanks up at me. He seems vaguely distracted, and I notice him looking furtively around the diner. Are you looking for someone? I ask, and he glances up at me with those beautiful, brown, come-to-bed eyes of his.
Kinda. I notice there's a Triumph outside.
He says.
She's a real beauty. Excellently kept, too. But I don't see the guy who'd be riding it in here. Unless it belongs to that grumpy old couple over there.
He says, throwing his head back and laughing that infectious laugh again. I admit, I am slightly annoyed at his assumption that the rider would be a man, but I'm so used to it by now. The thought of the Stevensons climbing onto that scrambler after their breakfast each day is something else, and has me laughing with him in an instant. When I stop, I all but puff out my chest in pride at his comment. Well, I'm no guy. At least I wasn't the last time I looked. And if you want to compliment someone, you'll have to compliment me, I say, cocking my head to one side and smiling at him. He freezes with the fork halfway into his mouth, then stares at me in clear disbelief.
That's not yours.
Yep,
Seriously?
he says. I could rip into him right now for thinking no woman could possibly own a bike like that, but instead, I simply arch one eyebrow at him and say, "Vanilla latte? For a badass alpha biker? Seriously?" He places the fork back on the plate and laughs out loud again.
Touché. I'm sorry for assuming.
Yeah, girls can ride bikes too, you know, I say. He's the first person to ever apologize to me about that. And coupled with our friendly banter, I'm really starting to like him.
I bet it's a great ride.
He says, "Yeah, it is. I love it." "What kind of machine do you ride?" I ask.
Mine's a Triumph, too. A Thunderbird.
I let out a soft whistle. Nice. Though I would have put you down as a Harley guy.
Well, then I guess we all make assumptions, don't we?
He says with a grin. Ooh, ouch. Touché back at ya, I say with a smile, then excuse myself and leave him to his breakfast. There's something about him I find intriguing. I can't put my finger on it, but it makes me feel comfortable and safe. Something warm and familiar, but I shrug it all off when 7 o'clock comes around and the madness of my everyday life begins. During the day, I find myself thinking about the easy flow of our conversation and how he was so not like I'd imagined a biker to be. I'd felt I could tell him anything, and I'm still thinking about him in afternoon class. I know I'm only half listening to the lectures, and I curse myself. What is it about this guy that has me morphing into a teenager with a high school crush? I need to focus. I force myself to snap out of it and pay attention to Mr. Kane as he teaches us about Genghis Khan. I wonder what the hell had possessed me to take ancient history when all I want to be is a veterinarian, but I need the extracurricular points. So I listen to him talk about the bloodthirsty Mongols, and it takes me back to other, less pleasant times in my own life. Memories of cruel nastiness I'd seen as a teenager when I was in the system race into my mind. I shake my head and tell myself not to go to those dark places, but it's easier said than done. I think of the friends I made while I was there, especially my best friend, John, and a tinge of sadness comes over me. We were just two teenagers, inseparable, and promised to be friends forever. We made all kinds of silly plans for when we got out of the hellhole we were in, sharing our dreams of schooling, careers, even love and who we'd marry. All that is in the deep, distant past now. And of course, life rarely follows our dreams. No matter how hard I try, I can't quite escape my past. I think about the biker I met this morning and wonder what kind of violence he sees, or inflicts, on others every day. I'm not naive enough to think he's as sweet as that vanilla latte he ordered. It's only normal to be wary of someone who walks around with a skull on his back, right? By the time late afternoon comes along, I'm feeling restless. I don't want to go home and collapse in front of the TV like I normally do. I know it's not open yet, but the diner doubles as a bar in the evening, and it would be nice to help Dahlia open up, then have a beer and a woman-to-woman chat with her. I've known her since school, and she's always been an amazing friend to me, as well a great employer. I'm sure I'll feel better by the time I go home. But my blood curdles when I hear screams, even above the dying roar of my bike, as I slow down to park in the street. I jump off, hastily turning off the engine, and rush inside.
Chapter 3. Flynn. I can't claim to be a wise man. There aren't many things in life I know for sure, but I recognize the scream of a terrified woman when I hear it. I run toward the Full Moon Diner without knowing what to expect. Visions of that lovely waitress I'd met today being assaulted fill my mind, and it immediately comes up with a rich series of worst-case scenarios. I know I should probably stop and think things through calmly, but I've never been much good at that. So I tell my mind to just shut the fuck up as I walk through the door of the diner. What I see immediately gets me mad. A burly guy has the woman I assume to be the owner pinned to the counter. Her shirt is ripped open, exposing her breasts, and her blonde dreadlocks have escaped the tightly wound bun they were in, and now cascade over her bare shoulders. She's obviously frightened.
Her screams for help, and her pleads to the man to let her go, echo around the room as he unbuckles his belt. I've barely had a few seconds to assess the situation, but before I can snap into action, out of the corner of my eye, and to my amazement, I see Jo launch herself at the attacker. Fuck, I didn't know what to expect when I walked in, but I sure as hell didn't expect this raven-haired beauty to unleash her fury on the man. In a flash, she locks one arm around the man's neck from behind and spins him on his heels to face her. The look of disbelief on his face is one for the album. As he rotates, she yanks him down toward her and slams her knee hard into his chest, and he lets out a grunt. That's quickly followed by a sickening crack as her forceful uppercut catches him squarely in the face. I'm standing, dumbfounded at what I'm seeing. She stands between him and her friend as he falls groaning to the floor. Her body is taut with anger. I hadn't really noticed how toned she was this morning in her waitress getup, but now I see the sexy curves and the figure of an agile fighter. It's the most arousing thing ever. But although I want to, there's no time to stare and think about fucking her. I snap myself out of my fleeting daydream when the man gets back on his feet, cradling his bleeding face.
"You fucking bitch!"
he shouts, his voice muffled by the thick fingers he holds in front of his mouth.
"You broke my nose!"
Suddenly he reaches inside his vest, and now there's a gun in his hand, and it's aimed at the two women by the counter.
"Don't you fucking move!"
It's okay, Dahlia. Just do as he says,
Jo says, and they both freeze. The woman I now know to be Dahlia lets out a small whimper. She looks terrified, even from where I'm standing. I pull out my own gun and walk further into the room. Everything's gone down so fast that no one even noticed me standing by the door. "Put it down!" I snarl, my weapon aimed at him as I step closer. If he's surprised to hear my voice, he certainly doesn't show it, and he turns calmly to face me.
"I don't know who the fuck you are, or where the fuck you came from, but you crawl back there right now. This ain't your business, man,"
he says, the blood still streaming from his nose. I clench my jaw in barely suppressed rage. I know I should keep my cool, but I always see red when anyone threatens or hurts a woman. It's so cowardly, so unmanly. I hate it. I said, "Put it down, you stinking piece of shit," I repeat. And out of the corner of my eye through the large windows, I see the cavalry arrive. A second later, they're inside, standing around me with weapons drawn.
"What the fuck's going on here?"
Jake demands, his gun aimed at the attacker. "I was just trying to convince this scumbag to put his gun down," I say calmly. "He tried to rape this lady here." "You better do as he says, man," Adrian says from behind me, and I grin. Our sergeant-at-arms shooting skills are even sharper than mine. This asshole has no idea of the world of trouble he's in.
"Fine. Take it easy,"
the attacker says, smiling. He takes a step back, slowly turns around and makes to lower his weapon. Suddenly, he flicks his wrist, and in a split second, I see the barrel of his gun swinging my way. I expected it. I'm always expecting it. I shoot, and he reels backward on his heels when the force of the bullet hits him. He crashes to the floor with a loud thump, gasping and clutching his chest. But within seconds, he's quiet and still. Dahlia and Jo scream, holding their hands to their mouths. Jo tries to comfort her friend, wrapping her arms around her shoulders. Then she looks at me with wide eyes, an unreadable expression on her face. I don't know whether I should be proud or ashamed of myself for what just happened.
"Jesus Christ, Flynn!"
Jake hollers as he walks over to where the man lay on the tiled floor, and Adrian follows. If Joe's face is hard to read, by contrast, there's no doubt about my president's thoughts on what I'd just done. He glares at me as he crouches down to check on the body.
"What the fuck are you doing?"
he shouts. "You saw the dude had a gun, right?" I answer.
"You didn't have to fucking kill him!"
Jake roars. I've rarely seen him so worked up. "Yes, I did," I say, as I gaze across to the two women. "He was going to kill one of us, and he tried to rape her." Dahlia shudders, presumably reliving the moment, and my rage stirs again.
"You and your goddamn vigilante complex,"
Jake growls.
"We're supposed to be keeping a low profile, or have you forgotten?"
My body tenses in anger. For one, I don't like being torn a new one in front of strangers, and I sure as hell like it even less when one of them is the most alluring woman I've met in a long time, maybe ever. I can feel her eyes burning into me, and the intensity of her silent stare is making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I make a conscious effort not to look at her and keep my attention on our furious leader. "I haven't forgotten," I say, doing my best to keep my voice calm. "But what was I supposed to do? Let her get molested? Or let one of us get shot? Let that bastard walk away with just a slap on the wrist?" But Jake wasn't pacified in any way by my words. "For fuck's sake, Flynn! Enough!" Adrian barks. "Arguing isn't going to help any of us." We both snap our mouths shut and turn around to look at him. He's standing over the corpse, looking down and deep in thought. "What do we do with the body, guys?" he asks. That is so Adrian, logical and practical to the core.
What do you mean, what do we do with the body?
Dahlia replies as she wriggles free of Joe's embrace. She's still sobbing and shaking after seeing someone killed in her diner, but I can see she's trying to pull herself together. She fastens her flannel shirt with the few buttons she has left after the attack, then steps toward us, her eyes shooting flames. I admire her courage, but I'm not crazy about her looking at us as if we were the problem here.
"We call the fucking police and let them handle it,"
she announces.
"That's what we do with dead bodies around here."
"See, Adrian here is right. I'm afraid we can't do that, darling,"
Jake says, and follows up by giving her his most dazzling smile. It's the kind women tend to fall for, but I can tell Dahlia is in no mood for charm. She draws herself up to the full height of her petite stature and stands up to Jake, oblivious to the fact that he's a 6-foot-tall guy who's very bad and dangerous to know.
"And why is that?"
she demands, defiantly placing her hands on her hips.
"Thing is, we're just kind of lying low here for a while. We don't want any trouble, and we can't get involved with the cops. You understand?" he says in a low voice.
"Excuse me?"
she says, staring incredulously at each of us in turn. Adrian approaches slowly, like he's almost afraid she'll bite him, and stands beside Jake. He's shorter than Jake, but still intimidating in his own way. Despite his appearance, his intelligence and wit are razor sharp. He could probably kill someone with his smarts alone, but he's also the best marksman we have. "You see, our club is in a somewhat delicate predicament," Adrian explains in a calm voice. "We can't let the news spread that we're here."
"I don't give a fuck about that,"
Dahlia says, still clearly upset.
"There's a dead body in my diner and I have to call the police right away."
I'm astonished at her ballsy attitude and bite back my laughter. I hadn't counted on her being so feisty, or even someone who'd cuss as bad as she does. What is it with the women in this diner? All my amusement disappears, however, when I see Jake stiffen, all amicability gone from his face in a heartbeat.
"I think you misunderstand me. Dahlia, is it?"
His voice is calm, but his eyes are as cold as ice.
"That wasn't a request."
But still she refuses to be intimidated by him.
"We're not acquainted, so it's Miss Jones to you. And you can't order me around in my own diner,"
she yells. But Jake doesn't miss a beat. He takes one single step toward her. That action alone is more threatening than anything.
"Well, Miss Jones, my name's Jake, so we're all acquainted now. And in case you didn't notice, we just saved your sweet peachy ass in your own diner. Darlin'."
He bites out the last word, all the honey he'd infused into it when he'd said it before, now gone. She opens her mouth to protest again, but my sexy raven-haired warrior steps in before she can say anything more.
"Dahlia."
The tone in Joe's voice is as hard as the steel in Jake's eyes. She places a hand on her friend's elbow in a warning touch.
"I think we should let it go." "Let it go?"
Dahlia turns around to stare at her in disbelief.
"Have you lost your mind, Joe? There's a dead body on the floor of my diner. How the fuck can I let that go?"
Joe has been surprisingly calm since I shot the guy, but maybe it's delayed shock? She takes a deep breath, and I get the distinct impression she's trying to rein in her emotions to support her hysterical friend.
"It's because there's this particular dead body in your diner that I think you should let it go,"
she says.
"He tried to—"
Dahlia shudders as her voice trails off.
"This is murder, for Christ's sake. We have to call the police."
Joe sighs impatiently, then walks over to the dead man and crouches down next to him. She rolls up his sleeve all the way, exposing the vivid tattoo.
See this?
She asks her friend.
This guy belongs to a gang, and these guys just killed him,
She says, jerking her head toward us. The disgust on her face cuts me surprisingly deep.
Do you want a gang war in your diner? Let these gentlemen clean up this mess. This is not a matter for the police. Shit.
Shit, Dahlia and Adrian say, almost in unison as they turn and look at each other, a glance lingering a little longer than necessary. He shrugs in response to her quizzical look. We are not exactly eager to get involved in a gang war either, Adrian says. I sense Jake's fiery glare on me again, but I don't have the balls to turn around and look him in the eye. Why don't you two ladies go grab a cup of coffee and a cigarette while we take care of things here?
I don't smoke, for one. And oh my God, I can't believe this has happened. Why here in my place?
Dahlia says, sobbing.
Okay, I don't want any gang trouble. This diner is all I have. I won't call the police, but you better do what you have to do quickly. I'll have customers arriving when I open in 40 minutes.
It doesn't take us long to take care of it. After all, it's not like it's the first time we've done it. 30 minutes later, the Full Moon Diner is ready to open for business, and the body is, well, let's just say our brother Mighty came by and loaded it into the back of a van he'd borrowed and taken it who knows where. I, for one, don't want to know. The less people know about the final destination of our dearly departed douchebag, the better. All done, Sweet Pea, Adrian announces, cleaning his hands with a rag that had once been white. Dahlia has calmed down a little, but she isn't impressed, and her green eyes shoot death rays at him.
Don't you dare call me Sweet Pea,
she says icily. Adrian flinches, putting his hands up in surrender, and I grin. To me, the sexual tension between these two is palpable, but I wonder if either of them feel it. Speaking of sexual tension, Jo's standing by the counter, fierce and unmoving, like a statue. Her eyes are as cold as marble as she stares at us with disdain and wariness. I hate to see that on her face. The fact that she so obviously despises us is getting to me, but I have no idea why. It's not the first time anyone's looked down their noses at us, or even been downright hostile. It comes with the territory. It's never bothered me before. I like having distance between myself and normal people. After all the years I spent feeling powerless, it's a liberating sensation. But I don't like it coming from her. I want to be closer to her, not further apart. I clear my throat, hating myself for adopting such an insecure demeanor around my club members. I think we should go. Excellent idea. Jake, who's been sitting on one of the bar stools by the counter, stands up immediately, making it all too clear he can't wait to get out of here.
Yes, it is,
Jo says, her voice matching her eyes, cold and detached. She takes a few steps until she's right in front of us and crosses her arms over her chest in a resolute gesture.
And never come back.
I stare at her. Excuse me?
You heard me.
She says, totally unfazed.
After what just happened, you're not welcome here.
But I saved your life, I say indignantly, and inside I'm hurt.
You just killed a man,
she says with venom.
We want nothing to do with you. Right, Dahlia?
Her eyes flicker briefly over to her friend.
Right.
Dahlia agrees, emphatically, but doesn't sound so convincing. I catch her gaze landing briefly on Adrian, who seems equally upset at the prospect of their paths never crossing again. You're throwing us out? I ask. Just like that? Flynn! Jake's voice cuts like a knife through the tension in the room, and he steps up next to me. Let's go. Now. I turn to look at him. I can't tell what he's thinking, which isn't unusual, but it never ceases to unnerve me. I nod my agreement. I don't want to risk enraging him further by disobeying a direct order. I'd taken my club cut off to help Adrian with the cleanup, and I stare defiantly at Jo as I put it back on, silently daring her to insult me again. I don't know whether she's picked up on my implied message or simply doesn't have anything else to say, but she just watches me in silence. Well then, I say, as the three of us head for the door. I guess I won't see you around. Jo stands up straighter, her arms still crossed, granite-like, over her chest, and simply gives me a curt nod. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't have to.
Chapter 4. Joe. To say I was upset would be the understatement of the millennium. I try to remember a time when I felt as furious or as terrified, but I can't come up with any examples. For someone who grew up in the system, that's saying a lot. The more I try to wrap my head around what had happened, the less I manage to. I've seen dead bodies before, but never from a bullet, and never bleeding bodies. It wasn't because that Flynn guy had killed the man that unsettled me. After all, the douchebag had tried to rape Dahlia, so I have no sympathy for him at all. What's really getting to me is the instinctive, unthinking way he did it, like it was an ordinary, everyday thing for him to do. I mean, I knew from the get-go he was no Prince Charming, but I never imagined he might be capable of such levels of blackness and violence. I'm uncomfortably aware of the fact that I hadn't gone easy on Dahlia's attacker either. I close my eyes, concentrating on the memory of it, and I can still feel the rupturing of cartilage under my knuckles. But there's a huge difference between breaking someone's nose and ending their life. Mine had been a fight-or-flight response. Flynn's had been something else. Something I can't even give a name to. He could have just winged the guy, but instead he chose to kill him. And he made that choice in a heartbeat. The whole thing makes me feel uneasy, and I'm done with that kind of feeling. I promised myself a long time ago I'd never again be put in a situation in which I felt threatened, or one that left me powerless, with no say in my own life. I vowed never to be at the mercy of anyone. That was the reason I'd taken up Krav Maga in the first place. It wasn't so much a matter of self-defense. It was a matter of being in control. That's why I pushed Flynn and his club away from Dahlia's diner tonight. Yet for all my determination, I have this sinking feeling that it won't be the last time our paths will cross. It's a few days after the shooting that I find out just how right I was. The day is hot and sticky, which only increases the mugginess of my own thoughts as they stubbornly cling to my brain like the damp t-shirt that sticks to my back. I don't normally work nights, but in the aftermath of what went down, I can't sit still. Besides, I don't feel comfortable leaving Dahlia alone at the diner just yet. When Steve found out she was attacked, he felt the same way, and now works both the morning and evening shifts. We're both on edge, and it seems we're in some sort of unspoken competition to see which one of us can get to work the earliest. Today my afternoon classes got canceled due to our professor calling in sick, and I've taken the opportunity to arrive at the diner extra early. It's not open for business yet, and it's completely quiet when I let myself in through the back door. There's no sign of Dahlia, and it strikes me as odd that she hasn't arrived already. I spot some papers scattered on the counter, along with the notebook she uses to keep the accounts the old-fashioned way, and my heart skips a beat. Where is she? Then I hear strange noises coming from somewhere, and it stops me in my tracks. I tense all over, listening intently, then hear a long, drawn-out moan, and my racing heart jumps into my throat. I don't even want to think about Dahlia being attacked again, and I simply can't face another scenario like the one we had the other day. It takes me a few moments to get moving, and inwardly, I curse myself for my delayed reaction. What happened to the first attacker has stayed with me in deeper ways than I first thought, and for a few precious moments, I'm petrified. It takes a conscious effort to investigate further. Is Dahlia in danger for the second time in the span of a few days? The possibility of that thought makes me so furious, so I push any fear I have to the back of my mind. When I hear the moan again, I rush to the kitchen, grab one of Steve's knives, and head cautiously to the storage room in the back. The thought of Dahlia lying horribly injured runs through my head, and I'm on edge. For what feels like the 100th time over the past few days, I curse Flynn and his trigger-happy persona. I hear what sounds like breaking glass as I push the swing door open. What I see has me frozen where I stand, but it isn't fear keeping me rooted to the spot. It's shock. Pure, unadulterated shock. Dahlia isn't injured. She's not even being threatened. In fact, she seems to be having the time of her life, half sitting on, half standing against, the large table where we sort the incoming stock. Her shirt is open, exposing her naked breasts, and I idly wonder when it was she stopped wearing a bra. She's lost her jeans, and I spot them lying forgotten on the floor, a short distance from her feet. I can't see the guy's face, but the large tattoo on his naked back matches the patch on the back of Flynn's club cut. A malicious skull stares back at me from the man's bare skin. He thrusts into her, and Dahlia lets out that same long guttural moan that alarmed me the first time I heard it a few minutes before. Now, it just infuriates me.
What the fuck is this?
The angry voice roaring the question isn't mine, and before I have a chance to do or say anything, Steve barges in, almost knocking me over in his eagerness to get into the room. Steve stands there with a gun in his hand, his massive body taut with all too visible rage. He's practically breathing fire.
Get away from her, now!
The guy slides himself out of Dahlia and turns around slowly, with his hard cock bobbing up and down in front of us, glistening from Dahlia's juices. I avert my eyes immediately and breathe a sigh of relief when I realize it isn't Flynn. It's that Adrian guy. I'd been so wrapped up in my fear for Dahlia's safety, I hadn't noticed anything about him before, except the motorcycle club tattoo on his back. I hadn't stopped to consider that his hair was the wrong length and color, nor the fact that his slender build was nothing like Flynn's lithe, muscly body. Dahlia squeals and does her best to cover herself with a plastic food sack lying on the counter, but it's barely big enough to hide her modesty. Her face is bright red, no doubt from the embarrassment of being caught in the act by her employees, and the fact that Adrian has been fucking her into next week for God knows how long.
Do you mind if I finish first?
Adrian asks, smiling. He doesn't seem the slightest bit worried about the fact that the eye of his cock is pointing straight up at me, and I turn my head again. It's kind of unnerving the way he can be so calm in this situation. I can't decide what I dislike most, Adrian's cool demeanor or Flynn's explosive fire. I distrust them both equally, although, to be fair, Adrian hasn't gotten anyone killed in front of me. Yet. Dahlia lets out another little shriek, and I feel like slapping the shit out of her. How could she do this after what happened? How could she be so stupid? She hastily pulls her shirt closed and furiously buttons it up. She skips a few buttons here and there, then grabs her jeans from the floor and steps into them, wiggling her ass to shimmy them over her hips. "What the fuck are you two doing here?" she demands, all flustered, as she pulls her long dreadlocks back into the familiar bun with sharp, hasty movements. I don't want to think about why she decided to let her hair down. Maybe he liked it that way? "You're both way too early." "Excuse me?" Dahlia's outburst at me and Steve jolts me out of my speechless state. "That's all you have to say for yourself?" "I shouldn't have to say anything for myself." Her green eyes glint defiantly, and her cheeks redden again, but I can't say whether it's from embarrassment or anger. Probably a mixture of both. "And what are you both doing barging in here with weapons in your hands? It's like the fucking Wild West around here lately." I lower the knife, feeling a little guilty, even though I really have no reason to be. Beside me, Steve doesn't budge, keeping his gun fixed on Adrian.
I said, get away from her.
Steve snarls. Adrian holds up both hands in a placating gesture, but still doesn't look nearly as worried as someone who's naked and has a gun pointed at them should be.
Take it easy, big guy. Me and Dahlia here, we were just having a little fun,
he says, slapping Dahlia on her curvy ass.
But I'm going, okay?
Gingerly, he retrieves his t-shirt from the floor and puts it on, his amber eyes never leaving the weapon trained on him. He pulls on his jeans, slips into his boots, then bends down to pick up his leather vest. But Steve takes a step forward.
Leave the cut,
he says. Adrian straightens slowly, looking him in the eye.
Are you serious? You don't want to be doing this, my friend. Trust me, you don't mess with another man's colors.
That's all he said, but it's not what he said. It's how he said it that had chills running down my spine. There was an underlying tone of anger in his voice and in the hard glint in his eyes. I can't be sure, but I get the distinct impression that Adrian is a lot more dangerous than Flynn, maybe even more dangerous than Jake. Steve must have caught it too, and out of the corner of my eye, I see him tighten his grip on the gun. I think you should go, for now. The soft note in Dahlia's voice, as she spoke to Adrian, worries me. Just how far gone with this guy is she already? I bite my lip to stop myself from telling her that for now had really better be for good. But it's her diner after all, and I don't have any say over who stays and who goes. Still, that doesn't mean I should just stand quietly by and watch her make such an enormous mistake. I wouldn't be a very good friend if I did. Realizing his position, Adrian finally relents. He nods, then turns around and presses a quick kiss on Dahlia's lips. She blushes crimson, but it isn't her reaction I'm watching. It's nothing short of a miracle that Steve didn't blow Adrian's head off right then and there. He's gripping the gun so tight that his knuckles have turned white. That kiss was obviously Adrian's way of having the last word. That, and the glare at Steve when he lets himself out of the room. No one dares to move until we see the back door close, and as soon as we do, Steve and I round on Dahlia. We both try to gather our thoughts, but Dahlia interrupts our brief silence with words that make me see red. "Was that really necessary?" she asks, giving us her best, "I'm your boss and I'm unhappy with you" look. It doesn't work, though. I stare at her in disbelief, and Steve makes a sound at the back of his throat that has me do a double take. It sounds like a growl, some primal, deep-rooted rage that he must usually keep on a tight leash, and it was freaking me out. Not Dahlia, however. She stares at Steve with those big green eyes of hers. "Will you please put that away?" she says, glancing at his weapon in open disgust. "You know I hate guns." "And yet you have no problem having sex with a guy who carries one," I say. It was a cheap shot, and I knew it, but I couldn't help myself. I need her to see just how dangerous Adrian is. How dangerous they all are, including Flynn. Especially Flynn. Anger flashes across Dahlia's face, and I know then that she's already in too deep. "Adrian isn't the one who killed a man in my diner," she snaps. I take offense to that, which both shocks me and tells me that I'm also in deeper than I'd realized. But there's something about Flynn, a softness I'd glimpsed when he'd ordered breakfast on that morning, a softness that's at odds with the world he lives in. I force myself to snap out of it. I can't afford to get sucked in. For my sake, I have to assume that the real Flynn is the one who killed a man like it was no big deal. "No," I say, holding Dahlia's gaze. "But he belongs to the same world. A world you're better off staying out of."
Joe's right.
Steve interrupts as Dahlia opens her mouth to protest.
Trust me, you want no part of that.
"What if I did?" Dahlia's voice has lost some of its bravado. It's a lot easier for her to defy me than it is to defy Steve. The man is her dad's best friend, and he's been like a second father to her pretty much since she was born.
If you did, I'd have to intervene,
he says. Even though I wholeheartedly agree with his point, I look at Steve. He sounds halfway between a concerned father and a bodyguard. It makes for a somewhat disconcerting mix. Then, just like that, the fire returns to Dahlia's belly, and I can almost feel her scorching glare. "I'm not a child anymore, Steve."
Then don't act like one.
He snaps back.
Those guys are dangerous. You have no idea how much.
Dahlia opens her mouth as if to speak, then closes it again, just as quickly. Now, I'm wary. Dahlia can be the sweetest person I know, but she's not very good at reining in her anger once you get her going. For her to clamp her mouth shut now means whatever she was about to say would have been truly bad. "Let's get to work," Dahlia says. "We'll talk about this later." We don't say anything else. After all, what is there to say? I want to stop her, to talk some sense into her, but I know there's no way she'll listen now. I watch silently as she walks out of the room, and when we're alone, Steve finally puts away his gun and paces up and down like a caged tiger. Frustrated, I run my hand through my hair. The more I think about it, the more I'm convinced there's no way we'd ever get through to Dahlia on this. I pause, biting down on my lip, like I always do when I'm thinking, an idea forming in my mind. I'm not too crazy about it, but it's the only one I have. You know that guy is going to kill you if he doesn't get his cut back. I'll take it.
Definitely not.
He interrupts. Just hear me out, I say, holding up a hand. I'll take the cut back to the club. I'll speak to Jake and tell him to keep Adrian away from Dahlia. Steve gives me a small smile, but I can't figure out what he means from his facial expression.
See, that's your first mistake,
He says. His blue eyes twinkle with a faraway look.
You can't go there demanding anything from these people, especially from someone like Jake Atwood.
I frown. How does he know his last name? I didn't even know it, and I've had one up-close and personal experience with Jake. You know something about Jake? I ask. His smile disappears.
Oh, I know all about Jake. He's somewhat of a legend.
How do you know? I feel my eyes widen as realization hits me. A legend in the biker world? He cringes. He looks like he's searching for the right words, but his voice seems to have disappeared. Steve! I say, my voice sounding sharp and shrill, even to my own ears. Then my gaze zeroes in on the tattoo on his left forearm, and I approach him to look closer. It depicts a saber on a decorative background of swirls. Above the sword's hilt are the letters LAP, and under the sword's tip, MC. Is that? I take a deep breath. I can hardly contemplate the possibility, but at the same time I feel like it's staring me right in the face. Is that a club tattoo? His right hand quickly covers the design, but he can't cover the sheepishness that appears to flash across his face, and he hangs his head. Well? I demand, my heart beating fast and hard in my chest. He swallows hard and can't bring himself to look at me. I don't ever remember seeing him so nervous before.
L.A. Pirates Motorcycle Club,
He says quietly.
It was a long time ago.
I stare at him in shock. Suspecting he might have been in one is one thing, but hearing him say it out loud is quite another. My head is in a spin. Are you kidding me? I finally say. No way! He runs his hand across his face as he heaves a deep sigh.
Look, it was a lifetime ago, all right? I was young, fearless, and stupid.
I stare at him. And yet you know about these guys in the Bad Breed MC?
I'm out of that life now, Joe. I've been out for over 10 years, but I still keep my ear to the ground.
He hesitates.
It can be useful to keep yourself in the loop.
I frown at him. And why is that? He shrugs.
Well, you might get to know if anyone's coming for you, for one.
I want to ask him a million questions, but at the same time, I'm also afraid of the answers. Does Dahlia know? He flops down on one of the high stools around the metal table in the storage room.
Yes and no.
He says.
She knows I was once part of an MC, but she doesn't know the details. Only her parents do, and I'd appreciate it if you didn't bring it up with her.
I won't, I say immediately. I don't even have to think about it. No matter how surprised I am, I trust Steve. This revelation doesn't change who he is in my eyes, and I believe him when he says he's out. But I still think Jake's the one who can make sure Adrian stays away from Dahlia. Of that, I was certain. For one, his guys would obey him. And secondly, he'd made it clear that he was just as eager to stay away from the Full Moon Diner as we were for him to give us a wide berth.
I agree.
He says.
That's why I'll handle it.
I look at him, weighing the options carefully. I don't like it. They could kill you for making him leave his colors here.
Me neither.
He replies.
But I like the idea of you reaching out to those people even less.
I chew my lip nervously between my teeth, so savagely I almost draw blood. What if they make you join them? He laughs.
That's not how it works, sweetheart.
Then how does it work? I press.
Trust me.
He says.
You don't want to know.
As much as I won't admit it, I actually do want to know. I want to know more about the way Flynn has chosen to live, and at the same time, I don't like myself for still being drawn to him. What was I doing? The guy gunned down a man in the very place where I work. I can't possibly want anything to do with him after that. Can I? I decide right then and there that Steve's probably right. I have to stay away from those guys, and for more than one reason. Fine, I say, but come straight back to me after you've returned it. I have to know you're all right, 'kay?
Deal,
He says, giving me that fatherly smile of his. Then he gets off the stool and picks up his gun. Where'd you get that, by the way? I ask, nodding my head toward the weapon. Like Dahlia, I don't like guns. He gives me a grin, and I roll my eyes. Let me guess. I probably don't want to know that either. His smile widens.
Probably not.
Chapter 5. Flynn. I try not to think about it. I really have. About the utter disdain in Joe's eyes when she told us, and I mean me, to get out of the diner, and out of her life, forever. I've tried not to let it get to me, but I'd be fooling myself if I said the look in her eyes doesn't still haunt me, and I'm not in the habit of fooling myself. I can't afford to in my line of work. I'm more upset about losing her respect, even if I ever had it, than I am about killing someone. That should freak me out. Causing someone's death, even a scumbag who'd attack a woman, is never good, but still, I don't give a shit about him. Right now, I care more about Adrian striding into the backyard of the house we're renting, looking for all the world like he wanted to kill something, or someone. He makes a beeline for Mighty's Harley Superlow and starts meticulously dismantling the fuel injection system. Like me, Adrian finds fixing bikes and engines calming. After our hasty retreat from Harddale, Mighty's bike and a couple of others have been running rough, and so at least Adrian and I have an outlet for our frustrations. And Adrian seems very frustrated right now. I look up from where I'm polishing the springs on Jake's Fat Bob. Mighty's gonna skin you alive if you fuck up his bike. This thing's fucked up enough already, Adrian mumbles. Doesn't need my help. I walk over to Adrian. Something's definitely wrong with him. He looks pissed off, and I can't remember ever seeing our sergeant-at-arms without his club vest. Where's your cut? His eyes flash furiously, and for one crazy moment, I could have sworn they turned red. That asshole made me leave it behind. What asshole? What happened? Except for our club president, I've never seen anyone make Adrian do anything he didn't want to do. He lets the wrench he's holding fall to the grass and looks at me, uncertain. You promise you won't tell Jake? I groan whenever I hear that. Promise you won't tell Jake is my number one most hated question. That depends, I say. You know I'll have to tell him if it affects the club. It doesn't, Adrian assures me. Honest, it's my own personal business, but Jake might not see it that way if he knows. I'm liking this even less by the second, and he must have noticed by the look on my face. He grimaces and says, Come on, Mr. Vice President. It's all good, I swear. I roll my eyes. Fine, then tell me. He hesitates, which makes me worry even more. Adrian rarely hesitates. I heave a sigh and walk to the cooler we keep in the backyard. I take out 2 Sierra Nevadas and hand one to him. Then we sit on the grass, and I take a long gulp. The IPA feels cool and soothing as I pour it down my throat, but I can't shake the feeling that I'm not going to like what Adrian has to say. Promise me you won't say anything to the others. Oh, for fuck's sake, just tell me, I snap. I'm in no mood for games. Between being back in L.A., the incident at the diner, and the disconcerting realization that Joe has gotten under my skin, I'm on edge. The others have noticed it too, which is probably why Adrian's so nervous about telling me something that might annoy me even more. I went to see Dahlia today, he says. I look him in the eyes. Dahlia? From the diner? He nods, sheepishly. Dahlia, whose hide I saved from that douchebag, and who almost got myself shot in the process? I continue. The same Dahlia who threw us out on our asses? Dahlia, whose diner Jake has specifically ordered us to stay away from? That Dahlia? Adrian takes a convenient gulp from his beer. To be fair, she didn't throw us out. That other woman did. She just went along with it. I arch an eyebrow at him. Really? You're splitting hairs with me over that? What happened? I growl. He shrugs. We were just having sex in the back room when two of her employees caught us going at it. I tell you, man, she was as smooth as silk," he says, shaking his head with a wide grin on his face. I really don't want a blow-by-blow commentary of his sexual exploits, and I freeze with the bottle halfway to my lips. Who were they? Please, not Joe, not Joe. That other woman and some big blonde guy with a ponytail. Shit. Are you fucking kidding me, brother? I'm on the verge of exploding. This was bad. Joe hates me enough already without one of my guys screwing her friend after she told us all to stay away. The big guy had a gun, too, Adrian adds. Oh, God, I groan, and take a long, much-needed swig of beer. What did you do? Nothing. I got dressed and got out of there, he says. But the guy made me leave my cut behind. Why? To humiliate me, I guess. But he'll be sorry he ever laid eyes on me. He's a dead man walking. There's a flash across Adrian's eyes, and I know right away that whoever this man is, he's made the biggest mistake of his life. Our club patch means everything to us. I think he knows how it works, he says. The life, I mean. The code. He's got a club tattoo on his arm. Fuck, I say quietly. Can this get any worse? Anyone we know? LA Pirates, I think, he replies. I've heard of them, but we've never crossed paths. I know they operate in the central part of the city and on the docks, both locations not too far away from the area we're in now. What's a pirate doing at the diner? I ask. Adrian shrugs and takes another drink. Damned if I know. I don't think he's still in business, you know? He's got to be in his 50s, and he's working as a cook at a diner. He probably got out at some point. I try to ignore the pang of envy that hits me. It's been a long time since I've thought about getting out. Now Adrian has met someone who apparently has, and I realize that longing has never left me. I shake my head and take a few long sips from my bottle to wash it all down. I can't let myself even go there. This is my life. I'd better go check it out, I say. We can't be stepping on another club's toes. I stand, stretch, then finish the beer and toss the empty bottle into a trash can. And, by the way, Adrian, this is club business. Adrian gulps his beer down and scrambles to his feet. Jake will kill me if he finds out I lost my cut. I won't tell Jake. I cut him off, sharply. Unless it turns out this guy is still active, then we might have a problem. Okay? He sighs in relief. Yeah, okay, thanks. I'll get your colors. You just stay away from that fucking diner, all right? Yeah, sure thing, Flynn. He hesitates. Does that mean I can see her again once all this has been dealt with? I glare at him, amazed he'd even have the balls to ask that question. I want to tell him no. I want to tell him there's no way in hell I'll ever let him anywhere near Dahlia again since we can't risk the club's safety for a woman. But I don't. We'll talk about it when I get back, I say. Adrian seems as surprised by my answer as I am. But who am I to talk? I'm the one who jeopardized the club in the first place when I shot that guy dead, and I'm the one who's spending most of my time with a certain woman on my mind. The diner is packed when I arrive. I'd like to think I'd march straight in with all the self-confidence in the world, but that would be a lie. Instead, I pause outside, walking up and down the sidewalk, taking deep breaths. Then I go inside. The large crowd provides good cover for me, and, thankfully, Joe doesn't see me come in. I notice her right away. Hard not to. Having seen her beautiful curves the other night, I find her even more sexy and mesmerizing now. I find an empty, secluded booth and sit down, then pick up the menu from the table and scan it. I'm genuinely hungry since I haven't eaten much over the past few days. I chalk that up to the fact that being in LA again is making me anxious. There's no way I'd lose my appetite over a woman I hardly know, is there?
What the hell are you doing here?
She says through gritted teeth. Speaking of the devil. I look up and give Joe my most charming smile. Unsurprisingly, she doesn't smile back, and maintains one of the fiercest scowls I've ever seen. If looks could kill, I literally would be dead. But it stirs something in me nonetheless. There's something about that unquenchable fire in her eyes that makes me want to get closer to her. I hear the burgers here are the bomb, I say nonchalantly. Immediately, I knew that was the wrong thing to say. It riles her up even more, and her jaw clenches slightly, but she never breaks her stare on me.
What the hell are you doing here?
She asks again, slowly and deliberately this time.
I told you never to come back.
I meant what I said. I want to get some food. I'm starving. And I'm not kidding. Now I've seen one pass by on a plate to another table, I can't get the Full Moon Diner cheeseburger out of my mind. Jo crosses her arms over her chest and looks down at me with a face carved out of stone.
There's no food for you here. Now leave.
I meet her steely gaze and try not to blink, but she's good at the staring game, and I cave. I wonder if there's a way I can reach her. It doesn't seem likely the way she's acting, and now is probably not the right time. Fine, I say, giving up on that juicy burger. But I need to talk to the chef.
He doesn't have food for you either.
She hisses. I resist the urge to roll my eyes. I'm sure it'll just infuriate her even more. I stand and say, I'm here to see him. He's got something that belongs to my club, and we want it back.
Adrian's cut?
She looks at me defiantly.
Don't worry, he'll get it back to you.
What do you mean?
He wants to have a word with your president, too,
she says. With Jake? I stare at her in disbelief. The last thing I want is for the stupid, trivial matter to end up on Jake's table and drop Adrian into the shit. Look, we don't want to cause any more trouble, all right? I only came here to get the cut. Just give it to me and I'll be on my way. She arches one dark eyebrow at me.
You expect me to believe you came here just to retrieve a piece of clothing?
I huff in frustration. Yes, that's right. Maybe you don't understand what a man's colors mean to him. Adrian's fuming, and he wants it back. But I'm also here to talk to your cook about something else. I hear he might be, how shall I say, involved?
Involved?
In the biker life, I explain. Adrian thought he might be, and we want to make sure we're not crossing any boundaries, that's all. Most people hearing that would probably back off at this point, but not her. She steps closer to me so what she has to say will be for my ears only. She's so close, a waft of her alluring perfume fills my senses, and I will myself to keep my cool and ignore my racing pulse.
Steve is out of that,
she hisses.
He's been out for years, so if you or your goons hurt him, so help me God.
Whoa, I say, raising one hand in defense. Who said anything about hurting anyone? Honestly, I just want to talk to him. She doesn't say a word. She just stares at me suspiciously. I'm a tough guy, but it's unnerving, and eventually it's me that breaks the silence. Look, Jo, there'll be no threats. You have my word, I say, knowing I'd have to straighten that out with Adrian later. Jo looks at me intently for what feels like an eternity. Finally, she agrees.
Okay then, but not now. You can see we're as busy as hell,
she says, waving her hand at the evening crowd.
You can come back later, after closing time. Just you, okay?
I nod my agreement. It's not ideal, but I'll take it, and I leave feeling a little easier about the situation. I'm determined not to screw this up, not only for the club's sake, but for mine. If I play this right, maybe I can break down Jo's defenses at the same time. And then what? Says that nagging voice in my mind. What are you going to do? Leave the club? Stay home and play house with her? I let out a deep sigh. What was I doing? Did I really think trying to make a connection with Jo would change anything for me? I leave the diner and roam aimlessly around the neighborhood. It's late, and almost time to go back there to meet with the chef. I'm preoccupied, thinking about Jo, when a single shot rings out, and before the sound barely registers in my brain, I feel intense pain in my right side. I cry out and fall hard onto the asphalt. All I see are shadows, emerging from the dark, who now stand over me. Maybe it wasn't you that shot him, but that's for Edgar, you fucking son of a bitch, one of them spat out. We'll get the rest of you, one by one. Go on, you fuckers. Finish it, I say defiantly, fully expecting a double tap to the head any time soon. Nope. I want you to die real slow, another of them says, quietly and calmly. You're gonna feel so cold and alone as the blood drains out of you. Think about that. And I'll see you in hell, motherfucker. Then they laugh as they walk away. I guess if you live by the gun, you die by the gun. I blink up at the night sky, and I only have one thought. Joe.
Chapter 6. Joe.
I don't like this at all,
Steve says, and I roll my eyes. Yes, I say. You've already said that. Like a dozen times already. He grunts as we glance at each other, and I sigh. He's sitting at a booth in the now deserted diner, glaring anxiously at the front door, while I pretend to be busy behind the counter, straightening mugs that I've already straightened and wiping down work surfaces that I've already wiped. We're trying to be patient, waiting for Flynn to show up, but the truth is, we're anything but. Steve is furious and clearly can't wait to give him a piece of his mind. As for me, I don't know what I'm feeling. Seeing Flynn again earlier in the evening, after I told him to stay away, should have made me angry. Instead, even though I'd put up a show of bravado in front of him, secretly I was happy he showed up. I just wish our circumstances were different. And I wonder what it would be like to get to know each other in a normal environment without the shadow of the MC and Flynn's chosen life looming over us. What would have happened? Would we even have a connection? Would we have the same attraction that, by now, has become unable to ignore? At least, for me it has. And I realize it's been there from the moment we met. I've been pretending it doesn't exist, but earlier, when I stood so close to him, all I wanted to do was lean in and kiss him, long and hard. It's the same weird feeling I had the first day he walked into the diner. I can't put my finger on it, and I can't shake the thought that I've seen him before somewhere. But that's ridiculous. We're just too different.
Joe!
I snap out of it when Steve's voice interrupts my daydream, and I look up to see Flynn stumble into the diner. It takes my brain a moment to kick into action, and I realize something's seriously wrong with him. For a moment, I wonder if he's drunk. But despite the kind of life he leads, he doesn't strike me as the type to get off his face on alcohol when he'd planned to meet Steve. Then I see the blood-stained shirt. When I see Flynn's hand pressed against his right side and blood running through his fingers, I've never moved so fast in my life, and I run across the floor to him. What the hell happened? I ask, concerned. I throw his arm around my shoulder and help him get to a nearby chair.
I thought you didn't care,
he says with a small smile. He can obviously still be cheeky, even when he's injured.
You thought right. She doesn't.
Steve comes to my side, looking sternly at Flynn. He twists his body, screwing up his face in pain with the movement. He wheezes when he takes a breath, licking at the blood his fingers have smeared on his lips. He clutches his wound as he looks up at Steve, smiling.
Go fuck yourself, old man,
Flynn says defiantly, and I admire the fact that despite his diminished strength and the state of his body, he still has the balls to challenge Steve, towering above him. Steve bends down and leans into Flynn, their faces just inches apart, and there's a wild look in his eyes that I've never seen before.
I want you gone from here,
he says in a low voice.
And listen, friend, Joe is way out of your league. Don't get any ideas about bothering her, or I'll pull you out from whichever rat hole you hide in and finish the job. Do you get it?
Flynn winces in obvious pain as he pushes himself to his feet, and Steve steps back to give him some space. Flynn hangs his head in exhaustion and simply nods. He shuffles toward the door, while Steve stands there watching him, with his hands on his hips. I can't believe how mean he's being, but I freeze, not knowing what to do. After a few steps, Flynn glances over his shoulder, and I feel deep pity and longing in the pit of my stomach. I just can't stand by when he might die. That would make me know better than him for shooting someone. Steve, he's hurt. He needs urgent medical attention, I say, shaking the giant of a man by his arm.
He needs to go and leave us alone. That wound there is the mess of his own making, so he'd better clean it up himself,
he replies, his stare cold and unwavering. Now I'm mad. Something inside me snaps, and I pull Steve around to face me, almost unbalancing him. I know now he's a dangerous man, and I work alongside an ex-MC member every day. But what he's doing is just wrong, and goes against every fiber in my being. "For fuck's sake, Steve!" I scream. "I thought you were kind, but actually you have a heart of stone. You say you're out of that life, but you just proved you're still no different than any of them. He's hurt, and I can't stand by and watch him suffer, let alone die. I won't do it. What kind of an animal are you anyway?"
"Then you go save him. But I want no part of this,"
he says, pulling the bandana from under his shirt collar. He shakes it hard before putting it on his head, then stares at me for a minute. I'm sure my words have hurt him, but I don't regret saying them for a minute. He is nothing like the man I thought he was, and I'm disgusted with myself for thinking otherwise. Just as he's about to turn on his heels and walk away, there's a loud thump. We both turn our heads toward the door to see Flynn, splayed out on the ground, and apparently lifeless. "Oh my God, Flynn!" I scream, running over to him, trying to rouse him. He seems unconscious, and when I try to lift his body, I slip and fall into his blood that's pooled by his side. I scream again and look at Steve, hoping he'll help, but he's still standing in the same spot, just looking down at me as I struggle to my feet. Words can't describe how much I hate him right now, and I give him a look that should leave him in no doubt of how I feel. I'm covered in Flynn's blood, but I don't care. I run across the counter to call 911, but as I pick up the phone, Steve cusses me out, then rushes over to me like a charging bull.
"Okay, Joe, stop. I'll help you,"
he says, reaching for the phone in my hand. "Fuck off, Steve," I shout, pulling it away from his grasp. "A minute ago you were happy to let him die like a dog. I don't need your fucking help." I scream in his face as I punch in the first digit.
"Don't call 911.
He says, looking me in the eyes.
"Trust me, as someone who knows from experience. He wouldn't want you to do that."
That gets my attention, but I'm so torn on what I should do. I have to help Flynn. I can't let him suffer, but I don't want to create any trouble for him with the authorities either, if he should live. I pause, then say, "Okay, I won't, but you've absolutely got to save him," I plead.
"I can't promise you that, Joe,"
he says,
"but I will promise I'll do my best for him."
Steve gently teases the phone out of my hand and puts it back on its cradle, then rushes to the kitchen, grabs the first aid kit, and runs back across the floor to Flynn. Maybe he took a first aid course, but he seems to know exactly what he's doing as he applies pressure, then bandages and plasters Flynn's wound to stem the bleeding. I get the uneasy feeling this isn't the first time he's treated a bullet wound.
"Press gently here,"
he says, taking my hand and placing it over the wound.
"I need to make a call."
"Who are you calling?" I ask as I follow his instructions, but he's already dialed the number and holds up a hand, signaling me to keep quiet.
"Charlie, it's Steve. I need an urgent favor."
He pauses a second while the other man speaks.
"Can you call Dr. Jed? I'll text you the address in a bit. Then grab a couple of your boys and get down to the Full Moon Diner right away."
I hear the other man say something. Then Steve says,
"A guy's been shot. Tell Jed to bring whatever he needs and clean up the diner the only way you know how. No prints, no blood, no nothing."
Another short pause. Then,
"Great. I owe you one. See you in 5.
I look at him in disbelief. "You know doctors and cleaners who'll come out at this time of night?" I ask.
"Not just any old cleaners,"
he says.
"These guys are specialists. Blood, bodies, they do it all. Dahlia will never know what's happened here by the time they've finished."
I feel my skin crawling at the thought of what Steve just told me, and I wonder what kind of sick world I'm living in. But that will have to wait, and by the time we get Flynn off the floor and into Steve's truck, Charlie arrives, and Steve hands him the keys to the diner.
"Lock up when you're done. I'll pick them up later,"
Steve says, as I climb into the front seat next to Flynn. When Steve gets in, he looks at me and seems to sense the question I'm burning to ask, but daren't.
"Don't worry. Jed is a real doctor, you know. Not all MC members are no good down and outs like most people think. He'll take good care of your boy here."
"How did you—"
Because I'm old and wise, and I've lived a life.
He interrupts.
Now let's go. We don't want to keep the good doctor waiting.
And we drive to my apartment in silence. My place isn't that fancy, but it's big enough and comfortable enough for my needs. Plus, it's only 10 minutes away from the diner. By the time we arrive, Flynn seems a little more lucid, and between us, we manage to get him through the back entrance of the building without anyone spotting us and calling the cops. Once we get him inside my apartment, we lay him on my bed, and Dr. Jed opens Flynn's shirt. Luckily, the bullet has only grazed his side, but it's a nasty gash nonetheless, and he's lost some blood. Thankfully, not so much as to need a transfusion. The doctor cleans the wound and patches him up again with a fresh bandage. He gives Flynn a couple of shots, one to help him sleep and one for the pain, and leaves me some meds for when he wakes, before telling me what I need to do to take care of him. By the time he and Steve leave, it's almost 4 a.m, and I feel exhausted and emotional as I finally curl up on the battered couch in my living room to get some rest. But sleep seems far away as I recall the events of the evening over and over again in my mind. I toss and turn for a while, but sleep eludes me, and when I finally doze off, it's not long before I wake again, terrorized by a vivid dream in which Flynn and I are running, hand in hand, inside a dark tunnel, the light at the end barely visible. Then gunshots ring out, echoing inside the tunnel, and I crash to the ground. I open my eyes and find myself lying flat on the carpet next to the sofa, caught up in the sheets that I'd covered myself with. Then I hear a laugh, and I know it's his laugh. I roll over to see Flynn standing next to me, bare-chested, and looking down with those twinkling eyes. "Geez, that was some recovery. You know you shouldn't be out of bed," I say groggily as I rub the sleep from my eyes.
Good morning, Joe.
He says, smiling. "Is it good? Is it even morning?" I say, as I scrape myself off the floor and sit on the couch, wrapping the sheets around me. "Surely that wound of yours must be hurting like a bitch."
It's not that bad, and I think it's a great morning.
He says, sitting on the couch next to me.
For one thing, I'm still alive. I can't thank you enough for everything you did for me last night. I could have died.
"It's not me you need to thank," I say. "It was Steve who stopped me from calling 911, and it was him who called some doctor buddy of his to get you fixed up without needing to go to the hospital."
Good man, you're Steve. But I know he would never have done any of that without your intervention. He made that perfectly clear, so I want to thank you for doing what you did.
"You're welcome," I say. "Now, are you going back to bed? The doctor said you need to rest and build up your strength again."
This your place?
He asks, avoiding my question. "Yes, it is, but don't get yourself too comfortable," I reply. "It's big enough for me."
I promise I won't.
He says, looking intently into my eyes. I look back into his and feel them pulling me into him. Our faces are inches from each other. I can feel his warm breath, and my lips tingle so close to his. God, I want to kiss him. I need coffee. I break our gaze and untangle myself from the sheets that cocoon me. "You want some?" I say, getting up from the couch, only to realize I'm only wearing a t-shirt that barely covers my tummy and a very short pair of shorts. But it's too late to worry about that now as I walk to the kitchen. I return to the living room 10 minutes later with scrambled eggs, toast, and coffee for us. I set the breakfast plates, my strong cup of joe, and a vanilla latte I've made specially for him on the coffee table, then curl up at one end of the sofa. "You need to eat. The doctor said you lost a fair amount of blood. Get it while it's hot," I say, without even thinking about the unintended innuendo, and I smile. Oh, how I would love some of his hotness.
Chapter 7. Flynn. I look across at Joe, curled up at the far end of the sofa, and I think I get the message loud and clear. Don't come near me. Stay away, biker boy. But it's proving difficult to do with every passing second. And anyway, I saw the way she looked at me when she opened her eyes this morning, upside down, from where she was laying on the floor. I may be hurt, but I'm not blind. I feel such a connection with her, and I'm hoping she feels the same way.
When she got up to make coffee earlier, I almost had a heart attack. That tiny sleeveless t-shirt she's wearing doesn't cover much at all. Underneath, a silver belly ring, and a tattoo of 2 intertwined snakes that run from her navel to the side of her waist, then disappear under the waistband of those skimpy shorts. She's so beautiful, funny, and sexy, and I'd love to find out where that tattoo ends up. I join her on the sofa by the coffee table, and laugh when I see what I assume to be a vanilla latte she's made for me. She giggles when she sees the amused expression on my face. Very funny, I say. Did you run out of regular coffee cups? She's put it in the daintiest of bone china cups with a pink floral design and a gold rim around the edge, sitting on a matching saucer. What's more, it's piled high with voluminous fluffy foam and chocolate sprinkles on top.
I thought you'd appreciate it,
she says, still giggling.
Nothing wrong with a little refinement and finesse. Even for a biker, you know.
I guess not, and I do appreciate it. Just never, and I mean ever, make one for me like this again in front of the guys, or I'll be left out of the club, I say with a chuckle. I take a sip. It tastes good, but too late I feel the foam sticking to me like Santa's mustache, and she throws her head back, laughing out loud. The more time I spend with Jo, the more I want to be with her, and it just doesn't feel like I only met her a few short days ago. After we finish breakfast, she washes the dishes while we chat about what happened the night before. I can't take my eyes off her, watching her hips wiggle in those tight shorts as she scrubs the pots and pans. When she's done, she turns around and catches my gaze. I quickly avert my eyes, but it's too late.
Were you checking out my ass?
She asks, pointing her finger at me like a mom scolds a child. No, I reply, sheepishly, embarrassed at being caught red-handed.
Yeah, right. Well, you don't have time for that, Mr. Man,
she snaps.
The doc said we need to keep you clean to avoid any infection. I'll help you bathe, but don't get any funny ideas, okay?
Okay, thanks. Of course not, I reply, but I know it's a lie. How can I not get any funny ideas when I know a beautiful woman is going to be sponging me down from head to foot? That will be the worst kind of torture I could imagine, not being able to grab her, kiss her, and fuck her.
Alrighty then,
she says, and helps me up from the couch. She takes my arm in hers and walks with me down the hall to the bathroom.
You really could do with a shave, you know,
she says when we get inside, running her fingers over my beard.
You look like a darn mountain man.
Her touch has chills running through me, and my cock twitches in response. Gee, thanks. You don't like my fur? I ask, pretending my feelings are hurt.
It's okay,
she says.
I guess you're not bad looking, but honestly, I think you'd look better without it.
Not bad looking, huh? Ouch, I exclaim. You really know how to pump a man's ego, don't you, Jo?
Oh, I'm sorry,
she says, giggling again.
I thought you were a tough guy. Maybe all those vanilla lattes are bringing out your sensitive, feminine side? I didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
What? I so wish I'd never ordered one of those fucking lattes now. And FYI, I don't have a feminine side. It hurts like hell as I laugh at her teasing, but I shrug off the pain. She's made me feel so much better already, and it's a small price to pay to give in to her request. And anyway, anything I can do to make her like me more is worth it. Okay, the beard is history. Just for you.
Trust me, you won't regret it,
she says with a sexy smile.
Now let's get you into the shower and scrubbed.
I turn around and unbuckle my belt, dropping my jeans to the floor. As I lean forward and step out of them, I see her looking at me in the wall mirror, and I look over my shoulder, grinning. Are you checking out my ass? She quickly looks away.
No? Why the hell would I want to look at that?
She says, defensively, her cheeks flushing red. Maybe for the same reason I checked out yours? The game's up. I saw you in the mirror, Jo.
Okay. You've checked out mine, I've checked out yours,
she says, all flustered, and it's so cute to watch her.
Now, if we're both done with checking ass, I've got things to do. Let's get you clean, then you can get the rest the doctor ordered. Are you keeping your shorts on? I promise I won't look.
Fuck. I hadn't thought of that. And I don't normally get nervous in situations like this. Heck, I'm normally out of my clothes in a flash if there's pussy on offer. I know she's not offering that, but suddenly I'm feeling a little awkward, a little self-conscious. I don't know why, but what the heck. I'm sure she's seen a cock before. Okay, turn around and wait till I'm in the shower. I don't want you to get all horny, I say, more from bravado than anything else. She turns around, putting her hands over her face, and laughs. And I take that as a good sign that she's warming to me.
Oh, you just keep on dreaming, biker boy. The last thing I want to see right now is your ugly bits flapping around.
I laugh at her sharp wit, step into the full-length shower, and face the wall at the far end. I see Jo quickly open and close the fingers covering her eyes a couple of times to check she's not going to be met with a full frontal of me. When she's satisfied she's safe, she uncovers her face and picks a fresh razor and a can of shaving foam from her cabinet. She walks in the shower behind me and then reaches around me and slides them onto the shelf in front of my chest.
There. You get to shaving, and I'll get to scrubbing. Go.
She commands, sliding the glass door shut and turning on the faucet at the opposite end to where I'm standing. Yes, ma'am, I say, giving a salute with my right hand. Then I squirt a big dollop of foam into my hand and spread it out all over my face. I unwrap the razor, and as I make the first swipe through my wiry face fur, I feel a warm, soapy sponge on my back and shoulders, gently rubbing over my skin. Then she moves her hand around to my chest and stomach, being careful not to get my bandage wet.
I'll do your arms when you finish shaving. God forbid I should jolt you and make you cut that not-bad-looking face of yours,
she says, giggling. Appreciate it, I reply, as I scrape the blade across the skin under my nose. And seconds later, my mustache is gone. I run my fingers over the smoothness, and I'm pleasantly surprised by how good it feels before moving on to the rest of my face. Jo moves on too, scrubbing my feet and ankles, working her way up my legs, past my knees, up to my hips. I'm trying my best not to get aroused, but it's impossible, and I feel my cock pulse as I try to concentrate on shaving. It twitches, and I feel it growing bigger with every passing second. She sponges my ass, then her hand moves between my inner thighs, and I part my legs a little more to give her access. Not sure if that was a wise move. Holy fuck. I try to think of something, anything to take my mind off it, but nothing's working. Now my cock is throbbing like the engine on my bike, sticking straight out in front of me, and I'm sure Jo's going to notice any minute, if she hasn't already. Never mind Jo nudging my arm, I'm going to slice my own face at this rate. So I quickly and carefully finish scraping off the remaining foam and face hair before I cut my face to ribbons. Okay, all done. Smooth as a baby, I say, hoping she'll stop and give me time for my erection to deflate before I turn around.
Good, because it seems like you're enjoying my sponge bath just a little too much. Here's a clean face towel so you can wipe off the foam,
she says matter-of-factly. Oh God, she saw. Of course she did. And now it's my turn to be embarrassed. Something that never happens to me. What the fuck is it with this woman that's making me act this way? Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean for that to happen, but it was the best sponge bath I've ever had, I add. Sounds lame, I know, but I can't think of anything else to say as I wipe my face over with the wet towel, hoping the ground will swallow me up, and soon.
Oh, really? And just how many sponge baths have you had?
Just the one, I reply with a nervous chuckle.
Very funny. Now let's get you decent before I do your arms. I want to see your face first.
She carefully wraps a bath towel around my waist from behind, tucking the end in tight to keep it in place. I'm just happy my erection has diminished to just a semi now. Ready for the new me? I say. I turn around and stand there for a few seconds. There's a weird silence, and Jo looks pale. The blood seems to have drained from her face. Her mouth drops open. Her eyes widen to the size of dinner plates, and she raises her hands to her cheeks as if she'd just seen a ghost. Jeez, surely I don't look that bad. You know, the boys are so not going to even recognize me, I add, breaking the silence.
No, maybe not,
she says slowly, like she's in a trance.
But I sure as hell do.
She screams. Her hands are trembling, and tears stream down her cheeks. Then she steps backward and sits on the floor, sobbing, with the warm water cascading down on her, soaking her completely. What's the matter, Jo? I ask, totally confused. She looks up at me.
John? John Harris? Oh my God, it is you. Oh my God, I can't believe it.
She screams, staring up at me through the steam. Holy shit, no. No, it can't be. It just couldn't be her. No one knows my real name. I haven't used it in almost 20 years. I'm so fucking confused. It can't be her because... Josephine Meadows? I ask, dumbfounded. She nods with her head in her hands, still crying on the floor. No way. It's not Puss.
It is me, John.
She cuts in. I step toward her and the towel slips over my hips and pools on the floor behind me. But I don't care. When I reach her, I put a hand under her chin and gently tilt her face up to mine. We look intently into each other's eyes, and I wipe away the spray and her tears with my thumb. Without another word, I take her hands in mine and help her to her feet. Yes, it is you. Thank God. It is you, Joe. I place my hands on her cheeks and look at her. Now I see. Now I really see it's you. Fuck, I've never been so happy to see someone in my life as I am right now. I thought she looked familiar the day I met her in the diner. Now I know why. She's changed since she was a kid, but all for the better. Gone are those cute little freckles she had on her face. Gone are the pigtails with the yellow bows. And as I gaze at her now, I know for sure it's her. I'm a strong man, but I'm so emotional right now I feel I could cry. I can't believe my reluctant journey to this city has brought me to the girl I was inseparable from when we were young, and memories of a dilapidated house with a group of shabbily dressed, dirty, starved children come flooding back. Among that group, the cruel matron of the foster home me and Joe had lived in, Mrs. Kruger. She'd made our life hell on earth, but at least we had each other. Until I left, that is. I want to tell Joe everything's going to be okay, but perhaps she needs some space, and some time to deal with her own feelings. It's come as a total shock to both of us. What happened to that bitch from hell, Kruger? I ask.
What do you care?
She snaps.
You didn't stick around to find out. You ran away.
She says, and it makes me feel so guilty for leaving her. I pull her close to me and hug her tight, planting a kiss on her forehead. Yeah, I did, but only because...
You said you'd come back for me, but you never did,
she says, then rests her head on my shoulder.
I was heartbroken you abandoned me. I guess I still am.
I did, honestly, Joe. But when I arrived at the foster home, Kruger told me she was sad to tell me that you died the month before from meningitis. I couldn't believe it. I was devastated and heartbroken, too. She looks at me, shocked, and after a sharp intake of breath, says,
She did what? Oh my God, I hope that evil bitch burns in hell. I was still there. She just wanted to get her own back on you for daring to run away from her when she fed you that lie. That was so cruel.
Fuck! You could well be right. I was in mental torture with all the sadness I felt in my heart. I lived on the streets for a while after that, doing drugs, stealing, nothing good, not even caring if I got killed doing it. I was a lost cause. It broke me up. That was when Jake took me under his wing and gave me a new life in the Bad Breed MC.
Holy crap. She really fucked us up, didn't she? Well, on my 18th birthday, I got out of there. Couldn't take it anymore, and came straight here the day I left the foster home. I'd met Dahlia in school, and she'd told me about her father's bar, so I headed straight for it. They took me into her home for 6 months before I could afford this place.
You've done good, Joe. Unlike me. I envy you.
I looked for you, you know?
She adds.
Directories, social media, but I didn't have enough money for a private investigator.
Wow. I'm really humbled you went to that trouble, but you probably wouldn't have found me anyway. I changed my name when I met Jake. I wanted no link to my past, so I dropped my real name and I've used Flynn ever since. She nods and then looks me in the eyes.
Why did you come back here, John? Or do you prefer Flynn? What do you want here?
Call me Flynn. John just reminds me of those dark days. Right now, seeing you again like this after I thought you were dead, I want you, Joe. I need you. More than I need to breathe. I've missed you so much.
Oh, God. All those wasted years.
She looks up at me, her eyes fixed on mine, and I lean in to kiss her soft, full lips, caressing her neck and back with my fingertips. She hesitates, then presses her warm mouth hard against mine, our tongues intertwining as she wraps her arms around my neck and pulls me to her. As we deepen the kiss, I slide my hand up and down her back. Her hard nipples strain against the wet, flimsy fabric of her t-shirt and scrape against my skin. Her firm, heaving breasts rub against my chest, driving me crazy. I break the kiss, lift her t-shirt over her head, and draw one hard pink nipple into my mouth. She arches against me, moaning softly with her hands clasped on the back of my head. I slide my hands over her hips and cup the cheeks of her ass with both hands, kneading her soft flesh as I suck her nipple harder. Her moans are driving me wild as I suck on her breasts, the pleasure rippling through her body. I push her soaking wet shorts over her hips, and she kicks them away. Then I move a hand from her ass, around her hip, and down over her tummy. I rub gently around her clit in circles. She thrusts against me as I slowly slide a finger into her wet, warm, inviting pussy. She gasps, throwing her head back as she gyrates her hips against my hand. Her breaths are short, and she whimpers helplessly with the increasing pleasure. "Come for me, Joe," I whisper. Then I suck her neck and kiss along her jaw as my fingers slide in and out of her slick pussy, my thumb kneading and circling her clit.
"Oh, God, yes, yes,"
she cries, and as I crush my lips against hers as she comes hard against my hand, her pussy tightening around my fingers, slick with her juices. Her cries of pleasure are only muffled when she buries her face in the crook of my neck, heaving and gasping as her orgasm subsides. Fuck, I want her so bad. It's killing me.
Chapter 8. Joe.
I want you. I need you. More than I need to breathe.
Flynn's words roll around my brain, and instead of satisfying me, the powerful orgasm he just brought me to now fills me with an insatiable desire and a burning hunger for him. I want to feel him inside me, fucking me, showing me he meant what he said. I slide open the door and turn off the faucet. I'm more than wet enough already. I take his hand, still pressed against my pussy, bring it to my mouth, and slowly suck the sticky fingers he'd used to bring me to my climax while we gaze into each other's eyes. It tastes sweet. Without a word, he takes my hand and puts them in his own warm mouth and gently sucks them, his eyes half-hooded. Watching him feast on my pussy juice turns me on even more. Then I feel his hard cock pressing against my thigh. So fucking hot. He picks me up like I weigh nothing and carries me to the bedroom, not even stopping to towel ourselves dry. He lays me on the bed, then just sits on the edge and looks down at me, scanning me up and down. He gently toys with my belly ring.
"When did you get your belly piercing?"
He asks in a low voice. "It was a long time ago. I was with a bunch of friends, dead drunk, just being a regular teenager," I say, trying to sit up. He gently but firmly pushes me back onto the bed, his palm flat against my midriff. All I can do is lie there, my body exposed to his hungry gaze. It gives me goosebumps, but in a good way. It feels like he's devouring me with those twinkling eyes, and wherever they look, his fingers follow. My face, my neck, my breasts, then my ribs, my tummy, and slowly down to my pubic mound, where they linger, teasingly, for a while, before trailing over my hip. I'm gasping, trembling at his touch. I've never felt so wanted, so desired, or so sexy as he's making me feel right now.
I don't remember you ever being a regular teenager. No mood swings, no rebellions, no arrogance. You were always such a nice girl,
he says, caressing my cheeks and stroking my hair as he looks down at me adoringly. Nice? I say with fake indignance. Gee, thanks for nothing, Flynn. Spaghetti is nice, and I thought I would have ranked a whole lot higher than pasta. I'd have settled for plain lovely, I say, giggling. He laughs with me.
Sorry, it's just that you've changed so much since I last saw you. For the better.
He quickly adds.
You were thin as a rake and had your pigtails and freckles back then, but you've turned into the most beautiful, sexy woman I've ever met.
I'm still amazed at the way fate has brought us back together, and what he just said about me makes my toes curl. I need him inside me, Now. We're here now, and Mrs. Kruger can't hurt us anymore. I don't even want to give her another thought, ever. Now, are we going to chitty-chat all day, or are you going to fuck me? I ask, smiling up at him. He smiles back, a glint in his eye, as he traces his fingers along the length of the snakes on my tattoo, then slides his hand under my ass and squeezes. I can feel my arousal building as he leans down and gently sucks on my hard nipples. I thread my fingers into his hair and pull him closer to me, urging him to suck harder. He flicks his tongue across each of my stiff little peaks, driving me wild with desire. Then I spread my legs wide, and he shifts to lay on top of me. I feel his hard cock on my belly as he claims my mouth, kissing me deep and long, and I ache to feel him thrusting into me. He pulls away, and I feel his warm lips trail kisses over my breasts, my belly, and down to my wanton pussy. His tongue probes me, pushing aside my wet folds, and laps at my clit like a cat. I throw my head back on the pillow and ball my fists in the sheets as my head swims with the sensation. He circles with the tip of his tongue, then left, right, up, down, and I know I'm going to explode with pleasure. I don't have to wait long. His fingers part my entrance and slowly slide inside while he continues to lick my clit. I feel him curl them upward inside me, and he gently strokes my G-spot, back and forth with his fingertips. Fuck! The sensation hits me, and I feel my climax building to an impending and inevitable crescendo. I move my hands from the sheets, balling my fists in his thick hair instead, and pull him hard against my pussy as the first delicious wave of my orgasm hits me. My head rolls from side to side as I arch my back, my thighs clench tight around his head, and my legs tremble as wave after wave of my climax courses through my veins. It feels like electricity shooting out from my fingers and toes as I buck and writhe on the bed in pure ecstasy. I've never had an orgasm so strong before, and it's exciting, if not a little scary, at what I'm feeling. I hope it won't be the last.
Nice?
He asks, when I finally come down and caught my breath. I smile as he raises his head from my pussy, his face glistening with my juices. I smile back at him, shaking my head. I already told you, Flynn. Spaghetti is nice. That was out of this fucking world. And thank you.
Seeing you happy makes me happy,
he says.
And God knows, I haven't been happy in a long time.
I'm sad to hear that. Now, lie down and let me fix that, I say, rolling over to the other side of the bed and grabbing a condom from my bedside drawer. He crawls up to the pillow and lays on his back. I lean into him and kiss him while I trace my fingers down his muscular chest, over his stomach to his cock. The tip is wet and slippery with his pre-cum, and I spread it around the bulbous head with my thumb. I slowly pump, stroking his length between my palm and fingers. He groans into my mouth and moves his hand to the back of my head, pulling me closer to him. Our deep, passionate kiss makes me as horny as hell again, and I can't wait any longer. I swing one leg over his thick thighs and straddle him with my eager pussy spread above his balls, just inches from his stiff, throbbing cock. I'm a little apprehensive, not at the situation, but I just don't know if I can accommodate him. I slip the condom over him, then shuffle forward, pressing my open pussy lips against the base of his shaft, sliding forward to the tip and back again. His dick glides over my clit with each movement, and he groans. I let out a gasp when I grind down on him, then sliding his swollen cock inside, I shift to adjust to his size. Just when I think I have all of him inside me, he fondles my breasts, rubbing his thumbs roughly over my nipples, and looks into my eyes. He bucks his hips, nudging a little deeper, and I don't know if I can take any more, but I press down to meet him and feel his cock slide in a little further. I let out a whimper as he holds my hips and bucks against me again until his cock is sheathed inside me to the hilt. I take a second to catch my breath, then squeeze my thighs against his and circle my hips, building up a rhythm. He never takes his eyes off me as the pleasure builds inside me again, and I ride him like a wild cowboy, craving for another release. I lean forward, placing my palms on his manly chest, and he holds my hips against him, keeping himself rooted deep inside me until another orgasm tears through my body. I throw my head back, screaming his name, before collapsing on top of him. Flynn is right there, only seconds behind, as he wraps his arms around me, holding me so tight against his chest as he thrusts in and out of my wet pussy. He groans, his body tenses, then calls out my name as he reaches his orgasm, and it gives me an odd satisfaction, knowing I have the power to make him come so hard. We kiss, cuddling close against each other, and talk about our past and where our lives have taken us for the longest time before I eventually roll off him, totally satisfied, but exhausted. I was aware of Flynn's warm body against mine as I drifted off to sleep, and I felt safe and loved. It's hours later now when I wake up, and I see from my clock that it's already afternoon. He has one arm around my waist and a leg over my hip, locking me to him completely. I try to move when I feel him stir behind me. He pulls me back against him, and I feel something hard and warm rubbing against my lower back. I giggle into the sheets as he flips me onto my belly and positions himself behind me. The man is insatiable, and the doggy sex is every bit as blissful as it had been earlier. Only this time, I must have slipped into a deep slumber, and when I wake again, Flynn has gone.
Chapter 9. Flynn. Where the hell have you been? More importantly, what the fuck happened to your face, man? You look like a banker, not a biker, Jake shouts as I walk into the yard of our rented house, and the rest of the guys all laugh at me. Number 1, getting myself shot, I reply, as I lift the black t-shirt I'd borrowed from Joe's wardrobe to show Jake the wound. And number 2, so I had a shave. No big deal, is it? Well, that depends, he says, studying my injury. I haven't seen you without fuzz on your face for years. You look weird. Now what about that wound? Who shot you? Yeah, I'll be fine. I spilled some blood, but it didn't go deep. It happened on the sidewalk outside the diner. The guys that did it said it was for Edgar. Edgar? Who were they? Jake quizzes me further. I think they must be from the club of that scumbag I shot. Out for revenge. Jesus Christ, he shouts. We so do not need this kind of heat right now. Who patched you up anyway? Looks like they did a good job. It's a long story, I say. Steve from the diner helped me out. He's a good guy. Used to be one of us. Then he took me to Joe's last night, and a doctor buddy of his fixed me up. Actually, I know all about it, he says, nodding his head. A wry smile appears on his lips, but I can tell he's still mad. How could he know? I see Adrian standing on the sidelines, watching Jake rant at me with a crazy, self-satisfied smile on his face. I want to beat the smug bastard to a pulp the first chance I get, and I make that plain from the dirty look I throw his way. It just makes him even smugger, no doubt recalling the advice I'd given him yesterday about him and Dahlia, and how it's flipped right back on me. I know all about you and Joe, is it? He continues. The pretty little waitress from the diner you're so sweet on? You banged her, didn't you? You banged her sexy ass. Is that why you shaved your ugly face? She's got you wrapped around her little finger already. I'm disappointed, Flynn. No, it's not like that, I protest. Yes, we had sex, but she didn't make me lose my face for her. I just fancied a change. Thought so. Say it out loud, Flynn, he says. Apparently, you were doing it quite loud when the boys came to get you. They told me you two were making quite some noise, so they left you to it. What? How? Believe it or not, we got concerned when you never got back here last night, he says. Went to the diner this morning and asked the cook if he knew where you were. He went a little crazy at me for a while, but eventually told me what happened and where you were. Jake, you've been a brother and a darn good friend to me, I say quietly, and he looks right into my face. Listen, turns out me and Joe go way back, to the time before I even met you. I thought she died, but we found each other again. I have feelings for her, man, and I won't apologize for that.
He stares into my eyes for a few seconds, then continues his rant. "Fucking hell, Flynn," he says, tapping 2 fingers on my head. "Did you get shot in the head as well as your side? So, she's the same chick that put you into depression and on that self-destructive streak that almost got you killed when you tried to pickpocket me all those years ago. I spared your life and pulled you off the street," he says, pacing like a caged lion and running his fingers through his hair. "I know, Jake, and I'll always be grateful for that, but she saved my life too. The guys who shot me were going to let me slowly bleed to death, and Steve would have done the same if it wasn't for her." Adrian steps into the conversation. When it comes down to club business, there's no one more meticulous, thorough, or reliable as him. He'd done his homework and was ready with answers as usual. "They were from the LA Pirates, Jake. They hang out in this part of town," he says. "So, what do we do next?" Jake asks. "I think we should try and smooth things over with the Pirates. We don't have the numbers for another firefight, even if we wanted to," Adrian replies, calmly. "But they tried to kill one of our own. We can't have that." "Yeah, and it's obvious why, but you know where this will end up if we pursue a war with them. We take out another one of theirs and they'll take out one of ours, if not more. Only next time you can bet it won't just be a flesh wound. Think carefully, Jake. Maybe ask the cook to set up a meet if you want to go make the peace," Adrian suggests. Apparently, he used to be one of them. "Fine. I'm sure he'll be delighted to see me again so soon, but I'll have a word, and the sooner the better," he says, striding toward his bike. He returns to the house 20 minutes later, but I can't tell from the expression on his face whether things went well or not. "Okay, saddle up and let's powwow with the Pirates. Steve looked like he was chewing a wasp when I showed up again, but he got hold of their president for me and told him we want to parlay. Check your weapons nonetheless. Adrian, take your bike and ride with Romeo here. I'll take Ray. Just us 4. Let's keep it low-key." "I can ride my own fucking bike," I say, indignantly. "Flynn, that's my decision. I don't need to explain myself," he says. He's angry, and it was wrong of me to question him, so I keep my cool and ride pillion with Adrian. It's already dark by the time we approach the abandoned cold storage unit where we've agreed to meet the president of the Pirates. My mind is preoccupied. I can't get Jo out of my mind, and I'd much rather be back in her bed, pleasuring her luscious body. But right now, club business and club loyalty takes priority. Despite the Pirates expecting our arrival, we leave our bikes some distance away. Always expecting betrayal, we don't want to ride right up to their front door, then all die in a hail of bullets before we even get to talk with their leader. We walk through the front yard of the property toward the door of a shabby-looking building. Cautiously, we all file inside and find ourselves in a long corridor, at the end of which is a light and an open door. We hear raised, angry voices, so we draw our weapons and push forward slowly, covering each other as we move. As we near the door, the voices become louder and clearer, so we wait just outside to find out what the hell is going on before we proceed any further. What we hear is some guy chewing another guy's ass. Turns out it's not dissimilar to what happened between me and Jake earlier. "I heard what happened from a very reliable source. So what the fuck were you two doing in that alley, Cole?" "We were lying in wait, Al," another voice chimes in. "I wasn't asking you, Clint," the first man says. "Who were you waiting for, Cole?" "Those bastard bikers who killed Edgar," the man replies. "See, I don't remember giving orders to take anyone out, and the last time I checked, I was still the president of this club. I don't want to end up in a war over this, so now I gotta smooth things over with their guy. We did it for Edgar. Edgar was reckless, short-tempered, and full of shit. He probably deserved what he got. You two should have let sleeping dogs lie," the leader says. "He just went to that shit place for a drink. Since when is that a crime?" Cole argues. "A drink? I have it on good authority that he tried to rape the owner and pulled a gun when those guys burst in. That's what got him killed. Now, I told you to forget about Edgar. I'm in charge here, and like it or not, that means I give the orders." Jake looks at me and Adrian, taking the safeties off our weapons, and shakes his head from side to side, warning us not to move. "I don't think so. Fuck you, Al. I don't need your permission to even the score for a brother. Your time as president is over. I'll be running the show from now on. Kill him, Clint. Go. Now, Jake says, and we run through the open door, guns at the ready. All three men turn around in surprise, and one points his weapon at us. Ray drops him where he stands, a bullet right in the middle of his forehead. The kid has good instincts. What the fuck? You again? Cole says, pointing his gun at me. Drop it, now, and we'll let you go, Jake barks at the man. He ain't worth you dying for, too. Not before I settle the score, he says, flicking off his safety. Big mistake. Adrian fires twice, and he flies backward across the floor, lifeless. Well, I was not expecting that. I assume one of you is Jake? At least I hope so, Al says, looking quite at ease given what's just happened. He looks to be a young man, maybe too young to be running an MC. Jake steps forward and holds out his hand. That'll be me. That's some reception you laid on for us. Yeah, good to meet you. And thanks for saving my life. You and your men were just in time. Jake shakes his hand, but there's no smile on his face. He's a cautious man. Caution is what kept him and us alive all these years. Where's the rest of your men? Jake asks, eyeing Al with suspicion. Waiting for me at the Full Moon Diner, Al replies, smiling. How can we trust you that this isn't a trap to finish us all off? I ask, pointing my gun at Al. Look, we don't want any trouble either. Edgar was stupid and got himself killed. End of. I'm not going to take my men into a war with you over him. Jake throws a disapproving look at me, and I lower my gun, taking a step back. But it irks me a little the way he just put me down in front of everyone. I'm surprised. I've never felt this way before. He always said we must never let a woman come between us and the club, that it could tear us apart. Was that what was happening here? I shook away the thought. Why are you here then? Jake asks with a hint of derision. It takes a long time for Jake to trust a person, let alone like them. Man, you are a hard nut to crack, aren't you? Al says. Jake pulls out a rickety chair from under the table and jerks his head toward it. Al hesitates, then accepts the invitation to sit. Jake pulls out another and puts one foot up on it, leaning down to Al and staring intently into his face. I don't have time to dick around, Al. So let's cut the small talk and you come clean about exactly what happened here. Al looks up at him, and his smile disappears. Okay. Those guys called me here to discuss Edgar, and they bragged about shooting one of your men. I guess they thought I'd be pleased and approve of their actions. Maybe they thought I'd promote them in the ranks, but I don't tolerate any of my guys going on rogue missions. I give the orders. Besides, I knew what Edgar had tried to do. You know the score as well as I do, Jake. Sometimes we fight, sometimes we kill, but we have our code. And we don't violate women. At least not in our club, he says, eyeballing Jake. Jake nods, considering what he's just heard. How did you know? He presses. Know what? About what Edgar had done, Jake says, pinning him with a stare I know so well. You don't want to be on the end of it, and if you lie, you can be sure he'll know it. One of my informants happened to be walking by, saw what went down, and told me everything. The diner is one of our main hangouts, and I won't have anyone, especially one of my own, attacking the employees there. That's why I didn't come after you guys for revenge. Edgar deserved what he got. Right, Jake says thoughtfully, then adds, You're kind of young to be an MC president, aren't you? You look like you just got out of diapers. We all snigger. Then Jake turns to us again and gives us that look, and we instantly quieten down. I can only imagine he's testing the man. Well, fuck you! Al stands abruptly, sending the chair he was sitting on flying back behind him. I tense, ready to defend our leader. I agreed to meet you. At your request, I might add. And I've tried to play nice. You don't even know anything about me, or what I'm capable of, he shouts in Jake's face. Yeah, I'm younger than you. And I might not be all killer looks like you, but I run my club with an iron fist. Apart from those two assholes lying on the floor over there, my men respect me. Jake doesn't flinch, doesn't move, doesn't even blink at his outburst. He just stares back at him, studying him as if he's reading his mind. Always Mr. Cool. Okay,
Take it easy, Al. I just learned a whole lot more about you in that last minute, and you seem like you're a straight-up guy. We don't normally interfere in the affairs of other clubs, but since we were invited here, we couldn't just walk in and turn a blind eye when we found you were about to get taken out. And I'm grateful for that, Jake. I owe you one. No problem, Jake says. I hope you mean that, because I'll be calling in your marker sooner than you know. You saved my life, and I'm a man of my word, Al replies. Just let me know when. How about now? Our president says. Geez, you don't waste any time calling in your favors, do you? He says, his eyes widening. Can you tell me what it's about? Sure. We came here from Harddale, had a skirmish with a rival club up there. They killed some of our men, took our territory, and we'd really like it back. Help us out and we'll call it even. Plus, I guarantee you'll always have friends you can call on in Harddale. It could be ugly, so now you know. Are you still a man of your word? You got it, he says. We haven't had a good scrap in ages. The boys will be up for it. They're getting fat and lazy sitting around drinking coffee and beer anyway, he says, laughing. All right, let's go and meet your men. Flynn, you ride with me. Adrian, you and Ray go back to the house and get the guys, then meet us there. Wait a minute, Adrian says, stepping forward. I roll my eyes. Just when I thought everything was smoothed over and I can get back to see Joe. Now what? Jake hangs his head, then looks up at Adrian with a lopsided grin. His underlying message, really, Adrian, now? Adrian dismisses him with his own look, then turns to Al. Sorry, Jake, but this has to be said before we head off. Go ahead if it can't wait, Jake says. It can't, he replies, turning back to Al. See, this new alliance is all fine and dandy, but it wasn't just Flynn over there that we nearly lost because Edgar kept his brain between his legs. We lost face in front of everyone there at that diner. So, while your men are all relaxing there, having food and drinking beer while they wait for you to join them, we can't even go inside. We got banned from the place. Oh? Al says, raising his eyebrows. Yeah. Oh, indeed. They think we're nothing but trouble. We'd appreciate it if you could tell your friend Steve how we saved your ass, so that particular bulldog doesn't growl at us every time one of our men walks into the bar. You've got that too. He used to be the Pirates' president before he quit and I took over. I'm sure we can smooth things out, Al reassures him, and Adrian smiles his approval, no doubt already thinking about fucking Dahlia again. Come on, I'm sick of this place. Let's go. What about Clint and Cole here? I ask, pointing to the bodies oozing blood. They're not invited, he says, heading for the door.
Chapter 10. Joe. 2 moon burgers, pickles on the side, and fries. Oh, and 1 slice of moon pie. I rattle out as I tear the order from my pad and slap it on the table behind Steve.
Looks like it's gonna be a long evening,
he says, flipping the patties before doling out 2 bowls of chili and rice. It's crazy out there with all those bikers, I reply, hurriedly putting my next order together on the serving tray in front of me.
Yeah, and they sure eat like there's no tomorrow,
he says, shaking his head. And to think you used to be one of them.
Yep, those were the days.
I glance across at him, no doubt reminiscing about his time in the MC. Steve, I plant one hand on my hip and stare at him. Do you think we were a bit hasty? Telling Jake and his guys not to come here again? I mean, the pirates are allowed in. He smiles and shakes his head.
The pirates are locals, I know them. The bad breed are outsiders. We don't even know what kind of trouble they ran from. I still think what we did was right.
Okay, but they weren't the ones to start trouble. I dread to think what would have happened to Dahlia if they hadn't arrived when they did, I say as I continue to stack my tray.
They're wild and crazy, living on the edge. Trouble is their middle name, but they know that when they sign up. That biker you have the hots for may look appealing, but don't get sucked in, Joe.
They're still people. They still have feelings, I say, frustrated at his negative attitude toward them. I'm getting restless. The hours I've already spent on my feet, the anticipation of a long and tiring evening ahead, combined with Steve's resentment towards Flynn and his friends, is riling me up. But deep down, I know there's more to my frustration. I haven't seen Flynn all day. He'd already left by the time I woke, and I desperately want to know if he's safe, where he is, and what he's doing. Or do I? And, more importantly, if he's been thinking about me.
Joe!
Steve calls as I'm about to pick up my order. I look his way and see the concern, even the affection for me, in his eyes.
Gambling with his life is what makes him the man he is. He's broken, so don't try to fix him. You'll only end up hurt.
Thanks, Dad. But I think I can take care of myself, I say, scowling at him. Just as I walk out of the kitchen with my tray, I see Flynn coming through the door, and my heart skips a beat. He looks so freaking handsome, in a roguish sort of way. He's flanked by Jake's crew and another man I recognize, Alistair Ford, the president of the Pirates. He's been in here many times with his club, and his guys all cheer when they spot him, then look warily at Jake's guys.
It's okay,
he reassures them.
They're friends. Make them feel welcome.
I serve my order, and as I spin on my heels, I run headlong into Flynn. He smiles down at me. Then, without a word, he takes my arm and guides me to a dark, secluded booth at the back of the diner. I know I shouldn't be doing this. I'm working, but I feel another flutter in the pit of my stomach as I realize I quite like his dominant demeanor. What's happening to me?
I've been thinking about you, Joe,
he says, pulling up a chair next to mine, our backs toward the crowd. Really? You left without a word. Not even a note on my dresser. You could have woken me, I say, as the frustration of not seeing him since our beautiful lovemaking boils over.
I'm sorry. We had some club business to take care of, but I've missed you,
he whispers, leaning into me. His face brushes against my hair, giving me goosebumps as he kisses my neck and strokes my face with his fingers. His touch sends shivers down my spine, and when he sighs, I feel a wave of electricity run through me, knowing that he feels the same way. I want more, but I'm very aware we're in a crowded diner. Thankfully, no one seems to have noticed us yet, but I know I'll soon be missed when the food orders start piling up in the kitchen, and I don't want to get my ass fired. Listen, I have to go. You can see how busy we are tonight, I say as I shuffle in my seat, and as I stand up to go, I feel another part of me melt when I look into his eyes. But our lover's gaze is soon broken when out of the corner of my eye, I see what looks like an altercation going on at the other end of the diner, and I dash toward the kitchen, with Flynn hot on my heels. When I get there, I hear Steve bellowing,
"What the hell are you doing here? Get out!"
He's standing by the grill, oblivious to the fact that the burgers he's been flipping are burning to a cinder. He seems to be having a meltdown, waving his arms at Al and Jake, but neither of them move an inch as they watch him rant. "Steve, don't be an ass. Just listen to what they have to say," Dahlia says. "What's happening?" I ask, pushing forward to the grill, and I quickly scrape off the burnt patties before they catch fire.
"Stay out of this, Joe,"
Steve grumbles, eyeballing Jake. "I will not," I say defiantly, putting my hands on my hips. "Calm down, will you? Dahlia's right. Just listen before you go off on one."
"We don't want their kind around here,"
he shouts, looking straight at Jake. I glance over to the kitchen door and see Flynn standing there, surveying the scene. He looks relaxed, though I'm sure he'll be the first to step in if Steve decides to attack Jake. I stand there, admiring Flynn's flawless physique, and the butterflies I'd felt before return to my tummy. When I look into his eyes, they're smiling back at me, and I feel an even deeper connection to him.
"Shut up for a second and listen,"
Jake barks, and Steve falls silent, staring him right in the face.
"Al came to speak to you and your boss about what happened here the other night with that Edgar guy."
Jake continues, lowering his voice back to his calm, authoritative pitch.
"Who the hell is Edgar?"
Steve says, clearly still irritated.
"The scumbag who would have raped your pretty boss if my man hadn't shot him like the dog he was."
Jake replies, his face expressionless.
"What's that got to do with Al?"
Steve asks, still not joining the dots, but I'm ahead of him.
"He was one of ours."
Al replies, confirming my suspicions.
"One of yours? Why would he crap on his own doorstep like that? The pirates have been coming here for years.
Steve says, a confused look on his face.
He was a new guy. Only got patched a couple of months ago. I guess he thought being a pirate meant he could do whatever the fuck he wanted. He obviously didn't get the memo that we don't go around molesting women. And he paid the ultimate price, along with his buddies who took revenge on Jake's man without my say-so. We took care of them, too.
The tension between them is palpable. I glance toward Flynn, who's watching the proceedings like a hawk, as Al's last words slowly permeate my brain. I study Flynn for a while, and realize the danger and volatility in his life is part of the appeal for him. As much as I'm falling for him, I can't forget he killed a man, and I feel a wave of fear rush over me. Is that the kind of life I want? When I left the foster home, Dahlia gave me a job, and this diner has been my rock ever since. Okay, waitressing isn't the most glamorous, or the best paid job in the world, but I have good friends here, steady work, a place to call my own, and no drama. Do I want to give it all up to be a biker's girl, dealing with the crime and violence that goes with it? It's just not me. Now I feel so sad as I come to my senses and realize that my beautiful dream is over. Steve's words of warning and what Al just said brings it right home to me. Maybe no one else picked up on it, but I caught it all right. It could mean only one thing. Jake's men must have helped him take care of those guys. That's what Flynn meant when he said they had club business to take care of. Oh my God, please tell me he didn't kill anyone else. As much as I think I'm falling in love with Flynn, his lifestyle is just too different, too alien to my own. And now all I feel is despair.
So why are you here now? To apologize?
Steve asks Al, sarcastically. Even after his retirement, it seems apparent that he still has some sway with the pirates.
No, I'm not going to apologize for something I didn't do. But you should know that the bad breed are good guys. You and Dahlia should give them a break. It wasn't their fault that Edgar decided to be a dick. And let's not forget, they saved your ass.
He says, turning to Dahlia.
Fine. Are you done?
Steve asks, annoyed.
No.
Al snaps back at him.
Something else you don't know. Jake and his men saved my ass today, too. So I'm going to Harddale with my boys to help them get their town back. It's the least I can do.
Dahlia cuts in. They can hang out here, Steve. It's okay. And I'm grateful for what you boys did for me, shocking as it was. Now, if we're all friends, I want everyone out of my kitchen, she says, crossing her hands tightly over her chest. I've got customers who need feeding.
Appreciate it,
Jake says.
And you don't need to worry about us. We're going to be out of this town soon anyway.
I look over at Flynn as he hangs his head. They're leaving? I know I can't live his kind of life, but why didn't he tell me? Does the time we spent together, rediscovering each other after all these years apart, mean so little to him that he'd just ride away as if nothing happened? The butterflies I felt before are now replaced by heartache. I've fallen for Flynn, but I've been a fool. I look at him and shake my head, letting him know how disappointed I am. I need some air, time to think. So I slip out the door and into the blissful darkness outside.
Chapter 11. Flynn. Inside, I'm furious with Jake. First, he asks Al for help without really knowing anything about the guy or his boys. Then he announces we're going back to Harddale without even consulting with any of us, not even me or Adrian. I know he's our president, but who the hell is he to decide that? I caught the look of disapproval on Adrian's face, too. But now's not the time to think about it. That can wait. All I want to do now is talk to Jo. I can only imagine how she's feeling after Jake announced our imminent return to Harddale. It was clear from the look of betrayal on her face, and I hurry after her into the dark outside. The cool, fresh air hits my lungs, and it's a pleasant relief from the hot and stuffy confinement of the diner. I look around for her, then hear the familiar sound of a bike engine turning over. I turn toward the sound and see Jo sitting on her street scrambler. "Jo!" I call out, and run to her as she desperately tries to start her bike.
When I get to her, I reach for the ignition key and pull it out. "Give me a chance to explain," I plead, hating myself for acting so vulnerable.
Why should I? Now give me back my key.
"Look, I understand you're upset."
Upset? Why would I be upset? I just thought I meant something to you. But you go ahead and do whatever you want, just like you did when you crawled out of my bed and disappeared to do who knows what.
She replies, venomously. Her angry eyes blaze like an inferno as her straight midnight black hair blows around her face with the gentle breeze. I know I'm in trouble, but I love her fire as she sits on her bike, looking like some medieval war goddess, raining down her wrath and fury upon me. "I went to tell Jake. About us." I reach out a hand to stroke her face.
Don't touch me,
She says, swatting my hand away.
So, what happened, You chicken out? Or did you just change your mind and decide the idiot chick can wait, since I need to go back to Hardale first?
"It wasn't like that," I protest. "Jake made the deal with Al. He never even put it up for discussion. Then he went and announced it in front of you, Steve, and Dahlia. I can see how it looks, but I had no idea, and I couldn't disrespect him by expressing my opinion in front of everyone," I explain.
Well, it looks exactly as it is to me, Flynn. Let's face it, you lead an unpredictable and dangerous life, and it's part of what you are.
"Not all of us are like that," I say, trying to convince her I can change.
Maybe not at first, but deep down you're all the same. Damaged, incapable of a real, meaningful emotion.
She says, looking down at the ground, her voice sad and forlorn. "Joe, deep down, you know me. We used to be best friends. In fact, we used to be each other's only friends."
Then you ran away.
She says, snapping her head back up to stare me in the face.
And that was a long time ago, Flynn. I'm not that lost little child anymore, and neither are you. We both have people we care about in our lives now, and who care about us. We've chosen who we want to be and what we want to do.
She says, and it scares me more than her fury. I know where this was going, and I desperately clutch at straws. All I want is you, Joe. All I've ever wanted is you.
Yeah, well, Dahlia and Steve are my family now. I don't want to abandon them,
she says, snatching her key back from me, and it strikes a nerve. She's not just talking about today or yesterday, but many years ago to her feeling of abandonment when we were at the foster home. Okay, I ran away, but I didn't abandon you, Joe. I went back for you.
And you were late,
she says, turning the key, and the engine roars into life. Please, don't go. Give me another chance, I plead above the noise.
Okay, I'll give you a chance.
And by the tone of her voice, I know I'm about to be tested.
Forget your buddies in there, the killing and the crime. Get on your bike, and let's see where the road leads us.
You know I can't go with you now. I have unfinished business, I say, annoyed at the way she's goading me. But...
I thought not.
She interrupts and puts her bike into gear. You're being unfair, Joe. Just give me some time.
I am being honest, at least with myself, which is more than you're doing,
she replies, angrily. Josephine, I say, softly grazing the side of her face with my fingers. Don't give up on us. Please. I know I'm begging, but I'm not ashamed of it anymore. All I want is for her to stay.
There is no us, Flynn. There never was,
she says. Then she straps on her helmet, revs up her bike, and does an impressive donut to face the road. Then she's gone. All I can do is stand there, watching her, until the taillight of her Triumph disappears. Just then, everyone piles out of the diner, and Jake and the boys come up to me while the pirates head for their bikes and roar away. What are you doing out here all alone? Jake asks. Just having a cigarette, I say, trying to deflect the attention. You sure? He says, his eyes boring into me. You haven't been banging that chick again, have you? I noticed she was gone. And the guys all laugh. Come on, Flynn, we gotta go. The pirates are meeting us at our place. I laugh with them, not wanting to let my true feelings known. They're my friends. But as I sit astride my commander and start the engine, I feel so sad, empty, and alone. Just like the day I came back for Joe. And for the second time in my life, I'm heartbroken. When we reach our rented house, the place is buzzing, and it's lit up like a Christmas tree. The pirates have made themselves at home to get ready for the mission. There are men milling about all around the place, some working busily on their bikes, some cleaning their weapons, and some packing their gear. At the back of the workshop, Adrian and Al sit with their heads together, presumably discussing tactics. This whole operation is down to Jake's leadership skills. He never regrets or revisits his decisions once they're made, qualities I've always admired in him, but today I feel different. I can't put my finger on it, but right now he has neither my respect nor admiration, two feelings I normally have for him. But, then again, considering all he's done for me over the years, there's no way I'll show him the resentment I'm feeling, so I try to keep my face as expressionless as I can. It makes me wonder if what Joe said to me is true, that we're all damaged and incapable of any real emotions. Maybe Jake feels that way, but not me. Joe has shown me that I do have a heart after all. Right now, it feels like it's shattering into a million pieces, impossible to put back together again. But I must push it to the back of my mind. I don't have the time to think about it. "You got any orders for me?" I ask Jake. "Soon. Al and Adrian are working on our strategy to hit the Cobras. Let's see how they're getting on. We leave at dawn." I nod, and we walk together to join them in the workshop. It's just after 10:30 when we finish strategizing. At the end of the discussion, we open a can of beer and share it among us. The 4 generals of the army seal the deal before Al and Jake go off to brief the troops, leaving me and Adrian behind. "You're making a mistake, Flynn," Adrian says. "What do you mean?" I reply, confused. "That girl, Jo, you need to forget her. She's not meant for you," he says, with quiet confidence. "Really? How would you know?" I ask defensively. "Because she's just an ordinary girl, man. She may ride a bike, but she's not a biker. She ain't like us. We're the cursed, the damned. You two are poles apart, and you know as well as I do that if you're in her life, you'll destroy it," he says in a low voice. "I assume you're giving up on Dahlia, then?" I ask, cocking an eyebrow at him, and he laughs, long and hard. "Yeah, Dahlia was a bit of fun, and she knows that too. It's not like we promised each other undying love or anything. But the fun has to end sometime, and then you go back to your life. And this is my life," he says, waving his hand at the yard full of bikes in front of us. "How can you be that cold?" I ask, frowning. He smiles broadly and shrugs. "What can I say? Detachment is an art, and I'm good at it. And that's because you suck at being human," I add, smiling. "In that case, you better start sucking at it too, before Jake notices your heart is missing and decides to fill the gap with a round from his Sig Sauer," Adrian says. Jake whistles for him from the other side of the compound, and he gives a thumbs up, then stands to leave. Suddenly his words make me realize just how fragile my position is within the club. I may be the vice president, but there's no mistaking the fact that Jake can be a heartless killer, especially if he thinks he's being betrayed. And despite all the years I've fought and served alongside him, deep down, I know Adrian's probably right. "Friendly advice," he says, putting one hand on my shoulder. "Stick with your brothers, Flynn, and get down to work. Contact our friends in Hardale who can help us out with ears and eyes. The more we know about the Cobras, the better. Make some calls, bribe them if you have to, and make that list of chinks in their armor like Jake asked you to," Adrian says, shoving a notepad and pen into my hand before he jogs across the yard to Jake. I look down at the notepad, and the lines become blurred as tears well up in my eyes thinking about leaving Joe. Again. It takes me by surprise, and I take a deep breath, holding them back and telling myself to stop being such a pussy. I can't let any of the guys see me crying like a little kid, so I wipe away the drops that have escaped the corner of my eyes with the back of my hand, then pull out my phone and start dialing. I gather some useful information about the Cobra's movements, where they hang out, and who's in their pockets. I furiously scribble everything down, and an hour or so later, I'm satisfied I have as much intel for the mission as I can gather. Then I flip open a new page and write from my heart. "My sweet Josephine, we've only been apart a few hours, but I miss you already. I've thought about you all day, and this isn't how I thought it would end. It's crazy, I know, but I daydreamed of us growing old together, sitting on the deck of a cabin with gray hair and failing eyesight, watching the sunset beyond the mountains. But it was just a daydream, and such dreams don't come true for a man like me. Losing love hurts like hell, Much worse than taking a bullet. And now I've lost you twice. But the bad breed are my brothers, my family. And you're right. We should never abandon our family. If it wasn't for the MC, I'd never have met you a second time. So I'm thankful for that. When I realized who you were, I can't lie, my love for you was rekindled. I wanted to be with you and make up for my past mistake, but it seems I've failed you once more. At least I'll go to my grave knowing you're alive and safe. The MC has given me a lot, and it's time for me to give back. We're going to Harddale tomorrow to take back what's ours. I hope you find happiness and peace in your life. That's all I want for you, my love. We may not grow old together, but I'll be there for you if ever you need me. Don't be afraid to call. You'll always be my what could have been. Yours forever, Flynn. 555-7621. I tear off the page, fold it neatly, and slide it into the back pocket of my jeans. Then walk across to Jake and hand him my pages of research about the Cobras. "Good job, Flynn," he says as he studies it. "Hopefully we all come out of this alive. Go grab yourself a beer and mingle." "Thanks, Jake. I hope so, too." "I'll grab one later. I just need to get some cigarettes. I'm completely out." I hate lying to him, but it's the only way to get out of here and deliver what I'd just written. He eyeballs me, and I can see his mind ticking over, but thankfully, he lets it go. "Okay, but come straight back. We've got an early start in the morning, and we need to be ready to roll."
Chapter 12. Joe. After I scream away from the diner, I drive mindlessly for a while. When the city lights thin out, only fields all around me, and a long, lonely road ahead, I come to my senses. I stop at a gas station, fill the tank, and head back to L.A. I can't face going back to the diner, and I'm home by 11:30. I check my phone and see several texts from Dahlia. She must be worried, so I send her a quick message to let her know I'm okay. I just need some space, and that I'll be back to work tomorrow. Until then, I just feel like wallowing in my own sorrow and self-pity. Tomorrow will be a new day. But tonight, I just want to pull on my pajamas, crawl into my bed, and curl myself up into a ball. The bed is still unmade. The wrinkles in the sheets from where Flynn had been lying, still there. I bury my face into them and inhale deeply. I can still smell his masculine scent, and my tears start to flow. I just lie there, crying like a baby, until I fall asleep from sadness and exhaustion. When I wake, the sun is up, lighting up my room through the thin curtains hanging at my bedroom window. I get out of bed and text Dahlia to tell her I'll be at work and not to worry. I shower and get dressed, all the while telling myself that everything that happened yesterday was nothing but a bad dream. Today would be a fresh start, but the empty feeling inside and the ache in my heart tells me otherwise. I try to brush it aside by keeping myself busy, so I make the bed, manage to eat a corner of the toast I'd made, down a large cup of coffee, then head for the door. I pick up my bike keys from the stand, and I'm about to open it when I see a folded piece of paper lying on the floor. I pick it up, and my heart races. There's no name on it, but even before I open it, I know who it's from. I walk back into the living room, settling on the recliner. Then I unfold the letter and start reading. It's from Flynn. At first, I smile, even laugh at his humor, especially where he talks about growing old with me, gray hair and failing eyesight. Then my tears flow like a waterfall again, streaming down my cheeks and onto the paper. The raw sincerity of his words twist my heart into knots. By the time I reach the end, I know any hope of me going back to a normal life is out the window. Nothing would ever be the same again, because I don't feel the same. He's changed me deep inside, and as I finish reading for the third time, my decision is made. I get up from the recliner and walk to the bedroom. I pack the letter, a few clothes, and things I'll need for a couple of days into a rucksack. I stuff whatever money I can find, and the only credit card I own, into my pocket, then lock the door and head to the diner.
"Have you lost your mind?"
Dahlia screams when I tell her of my decision. Steve's keeping himself out of our conversation, but I'm sure he's listening to every word. He stares ahead and continues cooking some bacon on his grill, but I see him shaking his head.
Don't just stand there like an idiot. You heard her. Say something.
Dahlia screams as she turns on him next.
Dahlia's right, Joe.
Steve says, looking over his shoulder before returning to the grill.
It's a bad idea to have any association with Flynn or any of his boys. It was bad enough when they were here, but now you're going to follow him to Hardale? That's madness. I'd hate to see you disappointed.
Not to mention death, or worse,
Dahlia added. I've thought about it, and I know what I'm getting into, I say confidently.
No, you don't. Forget about all these crazy ideas of yours. Now get to work. You're not going anywhere,
Dahlia says sternly. Don't treat me like a child, I retort. I know we've been friends for a long time, but sometimes I think you forget I'm a grown woman.
Then stop acting like one,
Dahlia snaps.
Oh, I'm sorry I said that. I didn't mean it. It's just that I love you and I don't want to see you hurt.
Thanks, hon. I love you both, too. Let's not fight over this. I'm a big girl now. Just give me a hug and wish me well, I plead.
Let her go, Dahlia.
Steve growls, putting an arm around her shoulders and pulling her to him as she starts to cry.
Oh my God, there's nothing I can do to change your mind, is there?
She says, sniffing and wiping her eyes. I shake my head slowly. My mind's made up. He may come across as a badass, but he can be so sweet, too. I love him, and I have to find out if there's a future for us, or I'll end up regretting it for the rest of my life, I say, as tears flow down my own cheeks.
I don't like it, but if we can't persuade you to stay, then all I can say is, be careful. Now come here.
Steve says, pulling me to him with his other hand, and he kisses the top of my head. The three of us stand there, huddled together, none of us wanting to be the first to let go. Eventually, we break our group hug, and after they make me promise to call when I get there, and stay in touch, I'm finally ready to go. I start my bike and smile at the two dear faces standing next to me. I flip down my visor, give them a final thumbs up with my gloved hand, and zoom off. As I ride into Hardale, I realize I have no idea where to find the bad breed. It's not as if they have an office downtown, or the friendly old lady at the post office would know their address. It's a small town, but with no idea of their whereabouts, it's still going to be like searching for a needle in a haystack. I ride along the main street and park in front of the general store. I take off my helmet and gloves, and as I enter the cool interior of the store, I notice the guy behind the counter, eyeing me suspiciously as I walk around. I guess they don't like strangers around here? I pick out a couple of t-shirts, water, mint gum, and a bag of potato chips, then walk back to pay.
New in town?
The man asks as he totals up my items. Yeah, I reply, and leave it at that. I don't have time for chit-chatting with him, since I know it'll only lead to more questions, and I want to get out of here as quick as I can to find Flynn.
Looking for someone?
The guy probes further, and the intrusion is becoming annoying. But I guess I can use all the help I can get. Maybe, I say, eyeing him warily.
Then maybe I can help?
He says, smiling. Okay, I'm looking for some bikers. Have you seen any around here? I ask, stuffing everything I've bought into my rucksack. He looks at me, even more suspiciously than the first time.
There's a whole bunch of those headbangers in this town. What do you want with them?
I can't say, but I need to find them. Well, one of them in particular. I add, and immediately regret it. His eyes soften.
Are you in some kind of trouble?
He asks, with a knowing look, his eyes lowering to my belly. Oh, no, nothing like that. I stutter out, mortified at the thought. Can you tell me where I might find them? I ask, hoping to divert the conversation away from his line of questioning.
Well, they normally hang out at the Starlight, but believe me,
It's no place for a woman.
Thanks, but I can handle myself. Where is it? He looks at me, hesitating, then says,
Turn left out of here, and it's 2 blocks down the road. There's a red sign by the roadside. You can't miss it. But I really don't think you should go there, miss. For your own safety.
It's okay. They know me. And thanks a lot. I give him a wave, then walk out of the store. I have all I need for now. I just need to find Flynn. The guy at the store wasn't wrong about the Starlight. It's a sordid-looking place, situated at the end of a filthy, litter-strewn street. I park my bike out front with all the others, though I don't see Flynn's commander anywhere. Perhaps he came here with Jake or Adrian? My heart does a somersault as I jog up the entrance and push open the door. Inside, the crowded bar is filled with bikers in jeans with long hair and leather jackets. I must be in the right place. I ignore all the stares and whistles as I ease my way to the bar and order a bottle of Bud Light. I settle onto a high stool at the end of the bar, from where I have a good view of the place, while being partially hidden behind a pillar. I sit, nursing my drink, looking for a familiar face, but as I look around, I don't see anyone I recognize, let alone Flynn.
Just passing through?
The bartender asks, with a friendly smile, as he leans over the bar. Depends, I say, guardedly.
Oh? On what?
He asks, wiping his hands on his jeans, then offering his hand to me.
The name's Ralph.
Joe, I respond, taking his hand in mine and shaking it. But before I can answer his question, I feel a hand on my side. When I turn to look, I find a grubby-looking man, smelling of beer, leering into my face.
You alone?
He asks. Oh, God, really? I haven't been in the place 5 minutes, and I'm being hit on already? I think on my feet, with a story I hope will see him scurry away. No, I'm waiting for my boyfriend. And he's 6 inches taller than you, and weighs 20 pounds more. Oh, and he's a professional boxer, I add, looking fearlessly into his eyes.
Sweet,
he says, sliding onto the stool beside me.
Crack, leave the lady alone,
Ralph says disapprovingly.
Slow down, my friend. I see what you're doing. You want her all to yourself, but this lady here is so out of your league. What are you talking about?
Ralph answers, frowning. He turns to me, as if to apologize for his friend.
He doesn't know what he's saying. Too many beers and he loses control. Run along, Ralph. Leave this little beauty with me. Don't you have booze to sell?
Crack replies, slurring his words, and it's quite evident he's had more than one too many.
Crack, you're drunk. Go home now or I'll call Bobby over to throw you out. I ain't afraid of Bobby,
Crack says, swaying on his seat. I'd like to talk more with Ralph, but this Crack guy makes me want to puke. So it's time to leave this conversation before it gets any uglier.
Where are you going?
Crack says, tugging my arm as I slide off my stool. The ladies' room? And no, you're not invited, so get your hand off me, I say furiously.
Crack, get a grip, will ya? Stop bugging her.
Ralph shouts, and I give him a grateful nod. As I push my way through the crowd and open the door to the ladies' room, I'm feeling a little anxious. I don't like being accosted by strangers, especially not by some leery biker stinking of booze. And it occurs to me again that there is not one single face I recognize in the bar. Suddenly, I'm worried. I sit down on the seat in one of the stalls to think when I remember Flynn's letter. I pull it out of my rucksack and dial the number at the foot of it. Thankfully, he answers within seconds.
Yes, who is it?
He says abruptly. It's me, I say sheepishly.
Who's me?
He snaps. It's me. Joe, I whisper.
Joe? Are you okay? Are you in trouble?
He says, concern in his voice. No, I'm fine. It's just...
Where are you?
I'm in Hardale.
What? How come?
He says, clearly shocked by my revelation. I read your letter, and it so touched my heart, I just had to come.
Where are you now? I'll come and get you.
I'm in the Starlight Bar. The guy at the general store told me there were bikers here, but I don't recognize anyone. Are you guys coming here?
Shit. Fuck. No. Get out of there, Joe. Get out now. You're in serious danger.
What do you mean? I ask, as chills run down my spine.
That's the Cobra's hangout.
He replies.
Our sworn enemies. Have you talked to anyone there?
No one of any consequence. Just a guy called Ralph, the bartender, and some drunken asshole called Crack.
Oh, shit.
Flynn cries out. I can almost feel the angst in his voice. Don't worry, I didn't tell them who I was, or say anything about you or your boys.
Okay. I can't come and get you, or I'll be shot before I even make the front door. Just get out of there, nice and easy, and ride away. I'll meet you at the gas station on Route 91, just outside town. Be careful, Joe.
I will, I say. See you soon. Then I hang up and take several deep breaths, steeling myself to walk out into the bar again. It's noisy and busy as I edge my way through the crowd toward the door, providing the perfect cover I need to slip outside, unnoticed. But just as I reach the door and think I'm home free, someone slaps my ass and I spin around. It's that disgusting Crack. Of course it would be him.
Leaving so soon, sweet cheeks?
He asks, grinning all over his face. Inside, I'm seething. How dare he touch me? Little does he know I could wipe that smug smile off his face and put him in the hospital before he can even blink. But I just smile sweetly back at him. I'm afraid so, but I'll come back soon. Such a lovely place you have here, I say sarcastically, through gritted teeth, as I continue walking toward my bike. I stow my bag, hurriedly don my helmet and gloves, and I'm gone. I breathe a big sigh of relief as that god-awful shithole gets smaller and smaller in my mirrors. I ride for 10 minutes until I reach the gas station, and my heart skips a beat when I see Flynn waiting for me, leaning against the seat of his commander. God, he looks so sexy. I'm nervous as I park next to him, pull off my helmet and gloves, and dismount. He comes over to me and places a warm hand on my face, stroking me softly with his thumb. We just stand there for a moment, silently looking into each other's eyes. Then he leans down, and his lips lightly brush against mine. I throw my arms around his neck, pulling him to me, and crush my lips against his, as his hands slip down past my waist and rest on my hips. He pulls my body close against his growing erection rubbing against me, and we kiss, deep and long. He strokes my back, my neck, my hair, then squeezes my ass. My pussy is wet with desire for him. Finally, he breaks the kiss, and we hold each other tight, with my head resting on his shoulder.
Fucking hell, Joe. I've missed you. But what are you doing here?
I came to see you. I've missed you so much, too.
But why? I thought we were over. You decided my life was too dangerous and unpredictable.
I know. But that was before I found your letter, I say, holding his face and looking up into his eyes. It moved me so much, reading your heartfelt words. I just couldn't stay away. It made me cry. Flynn holds me even closer, his entire body pressing tightly against mine. Then he buries his face in the crook of my neck and inhales deeply. I shiver with the sensuality of it, making me even wetter. He gently strokes the side of my face with his nose, then whispers into my ear.
I love you, Joe. I always have. It was a different kind of love when we were just teenagers, but I love you as a man, now.
And I love you too, Flynn, with my whole heart.
But as much as I love you, for your own sake, you don't want to be with a broken son of a bitch like me.
He continues.
Find yourself a good man. Have babies. Settle down in the suburbs. Enjoy your life and forget about me.
I stare at him, not believing what I'm hearing after our passionate reunion. Was that what his letter really meant? I'd read it several times, and he'd said I would always be the special one for him. Or had I read too much into it? No, I won't do that. I found a good man, and he's standing right in front of me. I want you, and I know you want me too. You said I was your what could have been, I say, as tears well in my eyes. Well, I'm standing in front of you now.
You know how my life is. I ride with a bunch of badass guys who fight and kill. That's what we do. You don't want to be a part of that.
Now I'm getting mad. Stop being a martyr for me. I don't want it. I snap at him. Is that how you want to live the rest of your days? You could get killed tonight, tomorrow, maybe next week. We have a shot at love, Flynn. Are you going to waste it? If the answer is yes, just tell me now and I'm out of here. And I won't look back. He looks down at the ground, sheepishly circling the tip of his boot on the concrete, apparently thinking about what I just said. It feels like minutes pass as we stand together in silence.
I don't want you to go,
He says finally.
but I had to tell Jake why I had to leave the guys to meet you. He knows you're here. We're in the middle of preparing our hit on the Cobras, and I need to get back there.
Can't you just leave the MC like Steve did?
I can't do that, Joe. At least not right now. So please, don't ask me to. The Breed have been my family, my home, and my brothers for a long, long time. As screwed up as we are, honor and loyalty are a big part of the code we live by. I won't blame you if you want to go back to LA. I'll understand. I have to see this through with them. But I'll tell Jake I'm out right after if you'll wait for me. I do want to be with you and leave this fucked up life behind me. Been thinking about it for a while.
I nod, understanding what he just said, and I know there'll be no changing his mind. His club code means so much to him. It's all he's known through his entire adult life. I hesitate, then say, I'll wait, Flynn, but I don't know what I'll do if you get killed. He smiles at me, stroking my cheek with the back of his fingers, and I lean into his touch.
I promise. Now I really have to go. Where are you staying?
I'm coming with you, I announce, without even thinking.
What? No!
He says vehemently.
Find yourself a hotel in town and text me where you're at. I'll come and get you when it's all over.
I'm coming with you, Flynn. Deal with it, I say, stamping one foot on the ground. For one thing, I can't bear to be apart from him, knowing he'll be walking into danger soon, and I don't know who I can trust in town anyway. How do I know if the hotel isn't run by the Cobras?
All right. You can ride back with me. Maybe you can help us out with some info, but I don't want you leaving the house, okay? I want to keep you safe.
His words melt my heart all over again, and a warm feeling comes over me as we climb onto our bikes.
Chapter 13. Flynn. So, what else did you see in there? Adrian asks Joe, in a quiet tone, as we all sit around the table in the library of the old Atwood home. It's remote, to say the least, surrounded by fields, half a mile down a dirt road off Route 91, and a couple of miles from the center of Harddale. Apart from those two, there's only me, Jake, and Al in the room. Adrian's been teasing out tidbits of information from her about the Cobras and their hangout since she arrived, and I have to say, he's darn good at doing it without it seeming like an interrogation. So calm and methodical. He'll make a good president someday. Not that Jake has been particularly calm lately. Do you mind if we go over all that you saw and heard at the Starlight one more time, Joe? Adrian asks softly, and she nods her agreement. This will be the third time, but I'm not going to interject. He's so freaking meticulous, but it's saved our lives on many previous occasions. Boredom with the same questions has my thoughts turning to Joe. It was like an apparition, and my heart raced when she rode her scrambler into the gas station. The minute I saw her and held her, I was lost all over again to her warmth and her love. So, where was Ralph when you walked in? Adrian asks.
Behind the bar. That's the only place I saw him,
Joe replies. The question and answer session continues, and I drift once again to the memory of Joe at the gas station. I wanted to find a quiet place, tear off all her clothes, and take her then and there, and I'm sure she would have let me. I still can't believe she's ridden all the way from LA to find me and tell me that she loves me. I say it again in my mind. I can't hear it enough. She fucking loves me. I look across to her as she answers another question, and we smile at each other. I feel my heart flutter just looking at her. Jake catches our exchanged smile and rolls his eyes at me. Jesus, Flynn, I know you two can't wait to fuck each other again, but we're trying to avoid getting killed here. Joe looks away. putting her hands to her face as she flushes red, and suddenly I feel all eyes around the table on me. Sorry, Jake, but I'm just trying to make Jo feel at ease. She's not used to all this like we are, don't forget. And she is helping us, I say. Yeah, okay. I didn't mean to get mad, and thank you, Jo. I appreciate all you've told us. I'm just a little on edge is all.
Right. I would say you're welcome, but actually I'm not happy about telling you all this,
Jo says, looking at Jake.
If it wasn't for Flynn's unwavering devotion to your code of honor and loyalty, I wouldn't be here at all. I love him, but I am so not from your world. It's completely alien to me, and I know I'm giving you information that will probably get men killed. Whether they're your enemies or not, that doesn't sit well with me at all.
Holy fuck. I can't help admiring Jo's ballsy attitude, expressing her feelings out loud to some of the meanest badass men I know. I never even thought about it from her perspective, and as I look around the table, I'm not the only one who hangs their head a little as the full extent of what we're about to embark upon comes into sharp focus. The bad breed has given me my life and my identity. I owe them a lot. But what Jo said shows me just how much I've become used to violence and death as an everyday occurrence, as if it's nothing unusual. I hate myself for it, and realize I do want to change. Jake pauses reflectively on her words for a few seconds, then barks out his orders. Enough, Adrian. We're ready. Get the boys and brief them with what we've discussed. We're not waiting any longer. And Adrian and Al stand and head toward the door.
I'm coming with you,
Jo says, matter-of-factly as she slides out of her chair.
No, you are not.
Jake and I say in unison, and we give each other a surprised glance, then look back to her.
Why not? Because I'm a woman?
She snaps.
I don't have time to explain,
Jake says, seemingly exasperated.
Tell her, Flynn.
Then kiss her goodbye, and be quick about it. I'll see you outside in a minute. Then they walk out the door. We stand, our bodies pressed close together, and I take Jo's hands in mine. We look deeply into each other's eyes. She's either so much braver than I thought she was, or so much more naive. You cannot, under any circumstances, come with us, Jo. It's going to be dangerous, and it could get really ugly really fast. You don't even know how to fire a gun, let alone actually pull the trigger when it's pointed at someone. Think about it. Could you do it? She looks down at the table, thinking about what I just said, and I think I've got through to her. Then she says,
But you could get hurt. I'd sooner be with you than bouncing off the walls here all on my own, worrying myself sick about what's happening, and if you're even going to come back to me alive. I know you have to do this, but if you're going, I want to be there too. I'll stay out of the way, I promise.
No way. Absolutely not. Even if you were a block away, I'd be constantly worrying about you, and I need to be completely focused and at the top of my game on this mission. Knowing you're safe here at the house will allow me to do that. Please, Jo.
Then promise you'll come back for me this time,
she says, looking up at me with pleading eyes.
Promise me, Flynn.
I promise, I whisper, and kiss her soft, warm, inviting lips.
Come on, Flynn. Let's go.
Jake yells from the doorway, and I give her one last loving look as my fingers slip out of hers, then turn away from her and follow him outside. We arrive in Hardale just after sundown and leave our bikes on the main street. Using the shadows, we all move stealthily down the dirty road on foot until we reach the Starlight. There are a lot of bikes parked up. The lights are on inside, and we can see people moving around. Jake and Al execute the plan they'd formulated with Adrian earlier, and each club president directs their men to where they want them to be until the bar is surrounded. I'm taking cover behind a wall to the front, and now there's no escape for the Cobras. If they try to shoot their way out, they're going to be met with awesome firepower. It's not our intention to get involved in a firefight if we can avoid it. Neither Jake nor Al are hell-bent on spilling the Cobra's blood. Nor do they want to lose any of their own men unnecessarily. So our plan is to ask them to surrender their weapons and get the hell out of town for good. Maybe when they realize the strength of the opposition they're up against, they'll see it's futile to do anything else. But I can't say I'm hopeful of that outcome. If they're anything like us, they won't give up without a fight, and run with their tails between their legs. Nope, I don't see that happening at all. and every nerve in my body is on high alert for trouble. And I don't have to wait too long for that. "Get ready!" Jake shouts, and I look behind me to see Ray standing behind me. He throws a rock with a note wrapped around it through the plate glass window of the bar. It shatters into 1,000 pieces instantly, followed by numerous shouts of, "What the fuck?" and "Get down!" It started, and my pulse races, my heart beating like a drum in my chest. "I don't know who the fuck you are, but you just signed your own death warrant." I recognize the voice. It's Bobby, president of the Cobras. "Bobby, it's Jake. We've come back to get what's ours. Now you can do this the easy or the hard way. Throw down your weapons, and you and your boys find another town, or what, Atwood? We beat your ass last time. Seems you didn't learn your lesson," Bobby says. "It doesn't have to be this way, Bobby. There's been enough blood spilled between us already. Do what I say, and you have my word I'll let you all go. Find someplace else to run your drug operation. And if I don't, you know what will happen. Your choice," Jake says calmly. There's an eerie silence for a few seconds, and I peer into the bar over the top of the wall to see a group of men scurrying down a passageway and out of the rear door with their weapons drawn. Moments later, shots ring out from the backyard, and I see 2 of them stagger backwards on their heels and crash to the floor. "Fuck you, Atwood! Get 'em, boys!" Bobby shouts. I duck back down behind the wall, and immediately a hail of bullets fly over our heads. They've got us pinned down. I look at Jake. "I guess it's the hard way then," I say, smiling, and he smiles back at me. He knew this is exactly what would happen, and he's loving it. "Ray, Duke, flashbang," he orders. "We'll cover you, go!" We poke our heads above the wall and lay down relentless fire as they stand and throw flashbang grenades through the open window. Seconds later, they go off with a deafening crack, and among the smoke and confusion, we all rush toward the front of the building, inside the porch, and start shooting. Screams and the sound of bodies hitting the floor fill the air. As the smoke begins to clear, suddenly I see Ralph stand from behind the bar and take aim at us. I hit him in the neck, and the blood spurts from his jugular like a fountain as he crashes into the bottles behind him. Adrian and the rest of our guys storm the front, while Al and his pirates attack the Cobras from the back door, overwhelming them with sheer numbers and unmatched firepower. Bad call, Bobby. He'd seriously underestimated our strength. I'm horrified when I see movement from the corner of my eye and turn to see Bobby appear from the bathroom, looking down the barrel of his gun at me. Jake instinctively moves in front of me, shielding me, and raises his SIG, but it's too late. Before I can react, he shoots Jake twice, and he slumps back against me, moaning in pain and holding his chest. He falls to the floor, his head resting against my shins. I'm so mad with rage I shout, "Bastard!" at the top of my voice as I empty my entire magazine into Bobby, knocking him clean off his feet and back into the bathroom door as the shots hit him. The Cobras have lost their president and all their leaders. Some of the foot soldiers who are left are running scared as they flee out the front door. Adrian and Al chase after them, firing shots just above their heads so they know not to come back, and I hear them start their bikes with a thundering rumble and scream off down the road. I grab Jake and drag his limp form behind the bar as more shots fly around the place from the Cobra's Die Hard members, and die hard they did as I hear screams and more bodies dropping like flies. I wonder for a second what kind of life we've been living, but there's no time for reflection. I eject my empty clip and reach for another to reload. "Not so fast," I hear someone say, and I look up to see Crack pointing his gun at me, grinning. My first instinct is to protect Jake, and I shuffle in front of him, but I'm defenseless. I could try to shoot Crack, but I'm out of ammo, and I know I'll be dead before I can even reach for my spare magazine. It's over. I know it. I've lived a violent life, and now I'll die a violent death. I smile, strangely resigned to my impending demise. All I can think of is Jo, and the solemn promise I made her that I'd return to live a new life with her. Yes, I smile, but inside I'm so sad that I can't keep my promise. That hurts so much more than the bullet that's about to rip through my body, and a tear rolls down my cheek at what could have been. "Ah, you crying for your mama, Flynn?" Crack says, laughing at me. "Don't worry. You'll be seeing her soon." Then he pulls the slide back, rams it forward again, and takes aim. I flinch, expecting the pain, but when he pulls the trigger, nothing happens. That was my only hope when I saw him cock his gun. Any idiot knows racking the slide is a one-step process. You never ram the slide forward. What an amateur. He's jammed it, and I laugh at him. Before he can try again, I hear a woman's voice screaming like a banshee, and it's getting closer.
Don't you ever point a gun at my boyfriend.
I'm totally shocked to see Joe's face appear behind him, and immediately afraid for her safety. But before he even has a chance to turn around, she puts her hands around his face and pushes her stiffened fingers hard into his eyeballs. He drops his gun and screams in pain as he tries to pull her hands away. I jump to my feet as he reels backward with his hands to his face, and she kicks him in the balls, hard. I cross my legs where I stand, wincing as I imagine the world of hurt he's in right now. He doubles forward with the pain, only to meet Joe's knee as it jerks upward, smashing into his face, and he falls, groaning, to the floor.
Didn't I tell you I'd come back soon, you filthy, stinking pig?
She says, spitting on his face.
You like slapping ass? You just got your big fat one kicked. By a girl.
I reload my gun and holster it inside my cut, speechless at what she just did. She looks even more beautiful when she's mad. She didn't need my help at all as she tore into crack like a hurricane. But it's still dangerous around here, and my buddy is lying shot, so without a word, I grab Joe and pull her behind me as we duck down behind the relative safety of the bar, leaving Crack to roll on the floor, crying out in pain. Jake moans as he sits, propped against the bar. He's been shot in the chest, and it looks bad. I find a bottle of whiskey and pour some over his wound. He howls in pain, then grabs the bottle from my hand, pulls it to his lips, and takes a huge glug of it before offering it to me. I take a gulp too, and he smiles. "Just like old times, eh, Flynn?" he says, smiling at me. I smile back. "Yeah, Jake. Just like old times. Now don't talk. I'm going to patch you up so we can get out of here." Jake holds my hand tightly and shakes his head, panting. "We've lived a life, haven't we?" he says with a laugh. It makes him cough. Blood trickles from his mouth, and now I'm shit scared for him. He spits it out to the side, then smiles at Joe. She takes his hand, tears in her eyes, and I take the other. Jake brings his hands together, even though the effort must be killing him, and puts my hand in Joe's. "You keep him straight now," he says to her, coughing one more time. Then his head falls to the side, lifeless. "Jake! Jake! Jake!" Distraught, I hug him to my chest so tightly, and warm, salty tears run down my cheeks. Joe tries to comfort me, but right now, I'm inconsolable. Jake Atwood had taken one last bullet for me. The man who gave me a life is gone, and it's the end of an era. At least, it is for me. Epilogue. Flynn. It's been a week since our fight with the Cobras, and the few of them that we hadn't either killed or left dying had scrambled for their lives, like rats leaving a sinking ship. Those rats were chased out of Harddale and warned never to return. Finally, we'd gotten our town back. Through a strange set of circumstances while we were in L.A., the Bad Breed and the pirates had joined forces into an unlikely alliance and won. But not one of us had wanted to celebrate, even after the dust had settled. We'd all felt it was a hollow victory when we first regrouped at the Atwood home. Our leader had been killed, and we felt down and empty, knowing we'd never laugh or share a beer with him again. We gave Jake a biker's funeral I hope he would have been proud of, burying him in the Atwood family plot at the St. Sylvester Cemetery, right next to his mother and father. Many other clubs had turned up to pay their respects, and all of us had worn a single spur to commemorate our fallen brother. I felt honored to lead the Ringing Out the Dead, revving my commander, followed a few seconds later by Adrian and the rest of the Bad Breed, their bikes lined up in a diamond formation. The sound of all those engines, building to a crescendo for 2 solid minutes, gave me goosebumps and sent shivers running up and down my spine. Slowly, the deafening noise had subsided as, one by one, each man shut down his engine. I gave the final rev, then shut mine off too, and the graveyard fell silent once more as they lowered his body into the ground. We'd held a wake for him that same night at his home, just as he would have wanted. He'd lived his life full on, in the fast lane, the wind in his hair, and screaming down the highway at 100 miles an hour. I knew Jake, and the last thing he'd want is for any of us to be moping around, mourning his death. We'd all said our goodbyes to him at the graveside, and now it was time to get back to life. The place was crammed with everyone who had attended the funeral, and it was more like a party as we celebrated his life. It was so uplifting to see the guys drinking, laughing, and sharing stories of their time with the legendary Jake Atwood. For me, it marked the passing of my old life as a member of an MC and the start of a new beginning with my beautiful Joe. Jake had saved my life, more than once, but the final bullet he took for me has given me a new life I could never have dreamed of just a few short weeks ago. In the smoke and chaos of the Starlight Bar, he knew it, and laid down his life for me and Joe, something I'll be eternally grateful for. It's the morning after the wake. I open my eyes and smile when I see Joe looking back at me from her pillow. "Good morning, beautiful," I say. She smiles back, her sultry eyes drawing me to her, and we kiss, holding each other tight as my hands roam her silky skin. She's been through so much since she hooked up with me. Killing, death, violence, and I still can't believe she stuck with me through it all when most women would have run a mile at the first sign of it. And I'll never forget that she saved my life too, in more ways than one, more than she'll ever know. I thought I was dead, on the inside as well as the out, and when Crack aimed his weapon at me that night, I thought it was the end for me. That vision of Joe, unleashing her unbridled fury on him, was a sight to behold, and it's one I'll never forget as we embark on our new life together. "Don't ever cross this woman" will be my mantra. She saved me from certain death, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life thanking her in every way I can. I'm sure we'll both enjoy it.
Is it over now, Flynn?
She asks with wide, pleading eyes when we break our kiss.
Can we go home now?
Yes, it's over, Joe. We'll get packed and out of here in a little bit. She looks intently into my eyes, as if she's checking that I'm serious. Then she smiles, plants a quick kiss on my lips, and literally leaps out of bed and dances her way to the shower. I must admit, I was hoping to take her in my arms and fuck her again until she screamed before we left. But I guess that'll have to wait until we get back to L.A. It's 10:30 by the time we get downstairs, and all the other MCs have already left to get back to their territories. I get it. They don't like leaving their area for too long in case someone else has the idea to move in on them. All the guys in the bad breed are slumped around the furniture, nursing their hangovers, and Adrian seems to be the only guy who's alert as he sips on a cup of strong black coffee. I've always wondered how he manages to drink such huge amounts of alcohol all night, yet it never seems to affect him the next morning. "Morning," I say, pouring Joe and myself a cup of Joe before we join him at the table.
What, no vanilla latte?
Joe whispers, smiling and raising an eyebrow at me. I give her a pointed look and raise my index finger to my lips to hush her from embarrassing me in front of Adrian, and she lets out a sexy giggle. "Morning, you two. That was one hell of a send-off for Jake, wasn't it?" "I think we drank the place dry," he says, chuckling. I laugh with him. I think we did him proud. And thanks for helping me with all the arrangements. You did great. "No problem, man. I sure do miss his ugly face around here." "I hear ya. He was one ugly son of a bitch," I say, and we laugh. "So what do we do now, Flynn?" he asks. "Well, we need a new president. And I've been thinking. You should take over," I say in a low voice. "The boys all admire you for your clear thinking and detailed planning. You'd make a great leader." "What are you saying? No way, man. I'm not ready for that. Besides, you're the vice president. You should do it." I reach into my bag, pull out my cut, and look at my colors for the last time before I hand it across to Adrian. He looks at me, confused. "Club property," I say. "I won't disrespect the MC by taking it with me." "You're leaving the breed?" he asks, looking down at the cut, not believing what he's hearing. "Yeah, I'm out." Jake gave me and Joe a chance when he put himself in front of Bobby's bullet, and more than anything, I want to take it, not least to honor what he did for us, I say, smiling at Joe as she squeezes my hand. I think she knows how hard it is for me to hand over my patch. "Wow, Flynn, I never saw that one coming, brother.
But I wish you all the best. Maybe I'll follow one day. Meantime, I guess I'll figure out this president shit. I'm gonna miss you, man. You'll be fine, I say, as we stand and hug, like the brothers we are. Then I turn to Jo. You ready to hit the road? She smiles and gives Adrian a hug. Then we say goodbye to the rest of the club, walk out the door, and climb on our bikes. I have no idea what the future holds for me on the road ahead, but I don't care. I have no regrets about leaving the breed. I look across at Jo as I strap on my helmet. I love her. She's so beautiful in every way. Her flashing eyes, her long black hair, her sexy curves, but most important, her loving heart and courage. I can't wait to start my new life with her by my side.
Jo. I briefly look over my shoulder and watch Hardale shrink toward the horizon. I feel an enormous weight lift from my body as we leave the trauma of the shootings, the killings, and Jake's death far behind us. During the time I've spent with Flynn, both in LA and Hardale, I've seen many facets to his personality. I've seen John, the teenage friend I loved and lost during our awful childhood. I've seen the troubled man who'd shoot a man dead without compunction. I've also seen a man for whom honor, integrity, and loyalty are the bedrock of his existence, even when faced with situations where he could lose his life. But the most moving thing I've seen, and what makes me want to be with him, is his soft, emotional side. I guess I saw a clue to it the first time he walked into Dahlia's diner and ordered that frothy vanilla latte. And not to mention, he was so tender, warm, and loving when we had sex for the first time at my place. But when Jake died at the Starlight, it really came out, and he'd cried like a baby. It proved to me right then that deep down, he was a good, caring man with a beautiful and sensitive heart. And as we ride back to LA together, I feel there's nothing more I can ask from him. He's given up his old life for me, and I know it can't have been easy after all those years with the men he regards as his family. This morning, the bad breed said goodbye to one of their best with mixed feelings. They're happy he's found a new life, but also sad that he decided to leave them. In a way, I hope it's not the last time they meet as friends. Before we left Hardale, I'd called Dahlia from the gas station, where it all began, to tell her I was safe, and I was on my way home, with my man in tow. She'd squealed so loud down the phone that I had to hold it 6 inches away from my ear until she'd calmed down and stopped hollering the news across the kitchen to Steve. I thought I'd leave the details of everything else that's happened until I see her in person, and maybe not tell her everything even then. I'm sure she'd rather not know about the horror that faced me when I walked into the Starlight. She assured me I still had my job at the diner if I wanted it, and for that, I'm thankful. I don't know what we'll do when we get back, but I'm not worried. Flynn talked about opening a biker shop with his share of the breed's pot that Adrian promised him just before we left. I think that would be just perfect for him. I'd probably never get him out of there. Who knows? Maybe when Flynn and Steve get to know each other a little better, Dahlia can find a new cook and they could work together. That's probably just a pipe dream, but I would so love it if it happened. All my family together. I'm just as happy as I can be to have this gorgeous man as my boyfriend. We've got my apartment to get us started and a job to go back to. We may not have that cabin that Flynn dreamed of, but that can come later. Thank God we don't have gray hair and failing eyesight yet. Life will never be the same for either of us, and I'm so excited to get back and start the next chapter of it with him. We're eating up the miles, and I glance over to Flynn. He looks so darned sexy, riding that beast of a commander in his tight jeans and his long hair blowing in the breeze. My mind races as I imagine straddling him on that machine, his cock buried deep inside me, and riding him until he screams my name. I know I'm still horny from last night, and the throbbing engine between my legs isn't doing anything to stem my arousal as my mind drifts back to the night before. As we lay in our bed at the Atwood home, Flynn had rolled over to me while I was asleep, and I'd woken to feel his warm tongue gently licking and probing every inch of my pussy under the covers in the darkened room, while his hands rhythmically stroked up and down my entire body, from my head to my feet, softly squeezing them when he reached my toes. It was so sensual and erotic, just feeling his touch, not able to see anything. It was like being blindfolded, and I liked it. He brought me to orgasm so many times, my pussy so wet with desire, and my body racked with pleasure until I could take no more. I craved having him inside me, and we made love like I've never made love with anyone before. I thought I'd physically explode when he reached his own climax, nudging the slick tip of his cock against my swollen clit, sending me crashing over the edge again, with my back arching and my legs trembling. The delicious memory of it is soaking my panties, but we have a long way to go, so I guess I'd better keep my eyes on the road ahead, for now at least. I look across at Flynn as we ride, side by side, along the highway. He glances back at me with a huge grin on his face, and it makes me giggle. He looks so happy, sitting high on his Thunderbird, his shades on, and I'm sure he's thinking the same as me. There's no feeling like riding a motorcycle with the wind in your hair, the rumble of your bike below you, and a long, straight road ahead. It feels great to be alive. And as good as that feeling is, it fades into comparison when the man you love, and who loves you back, is riding home alongside you. Ah, home. What an inviting and lovely thought after everything that's happened these past weeks. Home to L.A., home to familiarity, home to dear friends, and a new beginning with my man. Neither of us regret for a minute the paths we chose, and I still can't believe we've met again after all these years. We look at each other and smile. I sense what he's thinking. I feel as if I've known him all my life. And when I think about it, I have. The end. This has been Bad Breed